The following is a special presentation of TNN Sports. When you think of Iowa, you absolutely must think of corn, right? And if you know your cereal history, and who doesn't, you surely would think about Quaker Oats. Generations of Americans have started their mornings with the gentleman in that distinctive hat and collar. And anyone who knows anything about racing in Iowa knows the name Mike Garvey, a driver so successful that the wags in the pits have renamed famed Hawkeye Downs in Cedar Rapids Garvey Downs. How successful? Consider this while you munch on your puffed wheat. In 2 events here last year, Garvey led 419 of 500 contested circuits, snatched a pole position, and took the checker both times. Add to that the fact that in the second ASA race here in 1999, the man covered in champagne was, you got it, Mike Garvey. And you have the only ASA driver to take a win at the only paved oval in Iowa for over 18 months. The question becomes then, can anyone stop what appears to be his total dominance of the field here in Cedar Rapids?
There's a reason I think we're leading the points, and I think that's because we're consistent. Now, I know Mike Garvey's been consistent here the last couple times, but we're going to show him what consistency is. Watch out, Mike.
I know Mike Garvey's a winner. He won earlier this year at Lakeland, Florida, a race that we should have won. And he's won the last 3 races here at Hawkeye Downs. But I'll tell you what, Mike, this wins number 7's fast here this weekend, and I know they renamed this place here after you. Here in a couple hours, they're renaming it after us.
There's no doubt about it. Garvey was awesome last year, but this is this year, and we've got 2 wins and going for that 3rd.
Well, it's clear that at least 3 drivers think they can stop Garvey's streak, and my hunch is there are 30-plus others beyond them with the same idea. It is the most prestigious short-track stock car championship in the world, the AC-Delco ASA Racing Series, the 5th of 20 events in this $6 million tour, and it will be charging right into your living room next. It was 1925 when this track was built, and as was customary back then, it was a dirt oval that hosted plenty of horses and even a bicycle race or 2. Anyone who follows sprint car racing, however, will tell you that Iowa has plenty of dirt tracks. So in 1989, the Fair Board here took a chance. They paved it. The traditions that had been building for years never missed a step. And today, Hawkeye Downs stands as one of the premier short tracks in the nation. And why not? Cedar Rapids is a town that loves its racing and loves its cars. Just down the street can be found an astonishing array of beautifully restored American iron. For over 40 years, Duffy's, operating from this small east central Iowa town of just 110,000, has been one of the nation's leading dealers in the cars that make us all remember when. And this afternoon, the descendants of those muscle machines carry on the tradition of Midwestern motorsports as the Iowa 300 prepares to get underway. Hello, everybody. I'm Chris McClure. Welcome to the series that gives definition to the racing term bump and run. When this afternoon's race is concluded, we will have completed a quarter of the season, a schedule that's given us everything we could expect from the short track attack that is ASA racing. Now, the command to start engines is coming down in just a few moments, and everybody here is very eager to find out if indeed the name on that sign will have to be changed. Right, Bob Dillner?
Chris, here at Cedar Rapids, some people say the writing is already on the wall. Mike Garvey, the dominator here at Cedar Rapids last year, he swept the races. In fact, Mike Garvey has won 3 races in a row here at Cedar Rapids, but the dominator may have a little company here today.
Yeah, Bob, like I said, we've won 3 in a row. We're trying to make it 4. We've had a setup here so it's really good in the past, and this weekend it just plain wouldn't work, so we had to put a different setup in the car, but who knows, maybe this is even faster yet.
Well, Mike Garvey starts 4th, but he's got some tough company to get by. As our camera fights through the crowd during ASA's autograph session, Garvey's got to get by his teammate, Kevin Sawinski. And on the pole for the 2nd time this year, the blue number 9 car, that's Johnny Sauter. He's one of the hottest kids in ASA. You got to keep an eye on him today, buddy.
Well, Bob, I'll tell you this. Mike Garvey's had a lot of success at this racetrack, but so is this man, Johnny Spa, 6 times the champion here at Hawkeye Downs. And 1 year alone, you won 20 of 24 starts. Your car looks good here. Can you win?
Yeah, we can win. I think we got the car set up to run around the bottom, and that's where you got to get the passing done. And we just got to stay out of trouble and have some good pit stops. But McLeod USA, Medicap Pharmacy, Monte Carlo, we're going to get her up front today.
Sandy Hang, I believe he can do this.
Well, buddy, he's going to have some serious competition from 3 fast cars in the middle of the pack, specifically the one driven by David Stremme, whose crew chief says the car is fast. He just forgot a part in the shop, and that's why you qualified a little slow. Won't tell us what that part is, but this is a fast car now?
Oh, yeah. We have confidence in this Herzog Motorsports team. I feel we can run up front today. You know, the car's been pretty good here during practice, and we worked on it a little bit, so we'll see what happens today.
Well, David Stremme has been known to work his way up through the pack in ASA. And another one who we've got to watch starting right behind him is Mike Eddy, seasoned veteran. He had some really good practice times, but his qualifying time was more toward the middle. And another car starting right next to Mike Eddy. Don't forget Scott Frazier. He was running 4th and 5th in practice sessions. And by the time he got qualifying, well, just missed the setup. He also thinks he'll be quick and ready to go to the front. Chris?
Well, Sandy, he's already been quick enough to win last night's qualifier. He might have a pretty good chance to join this group of honorees. These are the people that have won the 12 races that have been held here at Hawkeye Downs in the ASA AC-Delco Series. Mike Garvey leads the list with 3 victories. We're at the Iowa 300, round 5 of the 2001 season. The Iowa 300 is being brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires, Take Control, and by Fram Filters. Pay a little more now or pay a lot later. A simply gorgeous day for round 5 of the new season, and we go down to the front straightaway. GM Powertrain Group's Brian Rivette is standing by.
On behalf of UAW Local 163 and GM Powertrain, I'd like to say, gentlemen, start your union-made GM Vortec engine!
Way to go, Brian. And with a Russian Aurora 32 hopefuls, fire those Vortec engines, over 14,000 horsepower, springing to life on the front straightaway here at Hawkeye Downs. And we're about ready to get this dash of 300 laps underway. Johnny Sauter, as we mentioned, for the 2nd time this year, is on the pole, flanked on the outside by the Wynn Chevrolet of Gary St. Amant. His teammates in the 2nd row, we have Kevin Sawinski, Texas Roadhouse Chevrolet, and Mike Garvey, then Greg Stewart and Joey Clanton, Butch Miller and Tim Taylor, Chris Wimmer, and Pat Kelly. Also, that rounds out the top 10. Then Jason Schneider is on the inside of row number 6, and Ricky Bryan on the outside of that row. And Buddy Baker, his very presence in this field is something of a miracle.
Well, he just has to be very thankful for a great championship crew, because they worked right up to qualifying time, didn't have a lap on the racetrack, and made it in the field. This guy really has a great team.
Scott Frazier there in 21st starting position, won the qualifying race last night. Mike Eddy in the Meyer Chevrolet on the outside. Tim J is in the field a little further back than he'd hoped. Paul Payne, keep an eye on him. Mike White and Rick Nelson. Also near the back, we have Mike Miller in number 18. Had a miserable time in practice and qualifying it, and got through on current points for the year. He is well back on the list. Interestingly enough, in the top 5 in points, there you see them right there, only 2 people have won a race. So consistency is a very important item here. Now, before we get this 300 lapper underway, let's take a moment for the BF Goodrich Tires point of view.
You know, sometimes you hear a driver say, well, this car just won't run quite as well as I want it to. But if you really want to hear him scream, let him lose the brakes. They run these coolers to the brakes, fresh air into the brakes to keep them where they work well all day long. If they go out, it don't matter how well the car runs, you're done. Bob Dillner?
Buddy, drivers also rely a lot on spotters, but here at Cedar Rapids, the spotters sit way up underneath the covered grandstands, and they can't see the entire racetrack, so the drivers must use their basic instincts more at this track than any other on the circuit. Sandy?
Turn 3 and 4 are morphing together like a giant slingshot. Drivers like Gary St. Amant, Butch Miller, and Kevin Sawinski are turning this white line black with their left sides, but look out if they get a little too low, they might lose their footing. Chris?
Sandy, since ASA Racing came to Hawkeye Downs in 1994, 124 different drivers have tried to solve the riddle of this track, but only 2 have been in all 12 races. One is Gary St. Amant, the other, Dave Sensabaugh. 12 races until today. Now he's in a different role as crew chief to number 11, Mike Eddy. And that's today's BFG POV. Field rolling, the rookie points so far this year. Scott Frazier, who won that qualifier last night, leads what is a very fine battle for this year's Rookie of the Year honor. Chris Wimmer in second place. There you look at them down through number 10. Kenny Phillips is not here this week. 31 of 32 are rolling. Tim Jay in the number 6 machine has been pushed into the pits. He cannot get power into the machine, but everybody else appears ready to do battle. It's scheduled for 300 laps. It is the ASA AC-Delco Racing Series for 2001. Stay right there. Welcome back to Hawkeye Downs. The field in turns 3 and 4, making their way behind the pace car down the front straightaway. Still warming up all systems, but all systems appear to be go in just about all of the 32 entries. Bob Dillner standing by, though. And Bob, is there a problem? Do you have a report?
There is a problem with Tim Jedrzak's car. The number 6 car is on pit road right now. The crew is up underneath the motor and also looking in the cockpit of the car. The car just won't start right now. They think they have an electrical problem. They're trying to get it worked out. The GM engineers are down here trying to get this number 6 car back out in the racetrack.
Well, he was scheduled to go from the 25th grid spot if they can get it underway, but right now on the course we have 31 cars getting ready to go. There's a look at the Meyer machinery that is piloted but now by Mike Eddy. You really don't have to say too much about his credentials, nor those building credentials of the 00 who starts next to him, buddy.
Well, all you have to say about Mike Eddy, 7-time national champion in ASA.
And that just about covers it. And we saw Scott Frazier and Eddy go toe-to-toe in that qualifier last night. That was a heck of a race for a good long time.
Yeah, they had a race right down to the wire, and it's just like all ASA races. It comes down to less than a car length for the win.
But they've still got a dozen and a half cars to clear before they get up toward the front. Johnny Sauter on the point, second time this year on the pole. Meantime, Bob Dillner, you have more.
Well, keep an eye on Scott Hansen. He's starting way back in the field, starting 19th here. But overnight, he changed 4 springs, 2 shocks, a sway bar, and the Panhard bar. He loves this racetrack. He told me if he finishes in the top 3 here today, he's going to do a cartwheel for us in Victory Lane.
Scott Hansen in the structural transport Ford, ready to do battle from well back in the field. We've got an opportunity to see a lot of guys on the charge in this race because of the way the grid formed up.
Well, and the other thing, they worked on the cars all day long. Then the qualifying races last night, they were in the dark. A lot of people don't know exactly how the car is going to respond. Temperature a little different today, a little cooler than yesterday. We'll wait and see who hit the right setup.
There in the foreground, you see Tim Jay in the number 6 trying to make his way under power now. Engine sounds all right onto the racetrack, and the field is in turn number 4, straightening it up. And Tom Powell is going to give us the green flag. He does, and we are underway. The dash into turn number 1 on the left side. Number 9, Johnny Sauter, but swinging around on the outside, the number 7, Gary St. Amant.
Gary St. Amant realizes right now being on in the front position pays dividends. He takes a wide line. As you see Sauter fighting back on the inside, St. Amant gets a better run off the corner, though.
Wins car of Gary St. Amant on the outside, the leader at the stripe. The 2 men from the Lefebvre racing team in behind, Tecumseh Chevrolet of Mike Garvey, who jump on board with him. There are the 2 leaders just in front, and teammate Kevin Sawinski down to the inside, so Garvey runs 4th.
Mike Garvey right down on the bottom part of the racetrack, just behind him, Joey Clanton in the yellow car, number 83, 2-time winner already this year.
And he's picked up 1 space, so he's in that lead fight as he tries to move up on Mike Garvey and Kevin Sawinski on the back straightaway. There you see the teammates battling it out. That is 1 through 5 right there in your frame off turn number 4 to put lap number 3 in the book.
That's we watch Johnny Sauter come off turn 2 down the back straightaway, the 9 car there. He has won races here before in other divisions, so he's not a rookie in this racetrack, but ASA, he is a rookie and running away right now.
Now let me ask you a question about his mental framework coming into the event. At St. Augustine, he wins pole. He goes 120 laps on the lead. A mistake in the pit cost him a chance to win the race. Here he's on pole. He got challenged early and held it off. Now he's comfortably in the lead. How's his mind working at the moment?
Well, right now, he's 22 years old. He don't have to think a lot. He's got a lot of just natural ability, and he's from a racing family. His father was a great winner. Both his brothers have been very, very good in ASA. And right now, he's out there in clean air by himself, just riding away.
Dropping back to Mike Eddy. There you see him working in traffic, trying to make his way up the track. He did that through a lot of folks last night, just like he did at South Boston, the qualifying race there. At South Boston, he won. Last night, he ran second. Right now, he's in a crowd. But he's working around the outside, and he does that with the best of them. Mike Eddy moving through the 07 machine. That's Brad Lemley. He's a young man from Grant, Alabama in the Noah Yoder Ford. This is his first race this year in ASA, and he's been now dispatched by Eddy, who continues to work his way up the track. First place still belongs to Sauter. We'll keep an eye on that. We also had a good battle going between Gary St. Amant and Sawinski in the second position, and we have now Eddy fighting against Glenn Allen Jr.
Glenn Allen Jr., you probably recognize that name. He was Rookie of the Year in Grand National Division not long ago. Really having a great time working on this car himself right now in ASA.
Second place belongs to Kevin Sawinski. This is the battle for third. That's Gary St. Amant right in front of Mike Garvey. A fight for third, and I'll tell you what, right now, Sauter has checked out at the front.
Well, he's out there by himself. When they run up on lap traffic, that's going to close right down. But right now, he's showing you why he got the pole position. He's running out there, preferred line, right on the bottom of the racetrack, and everything's working.
You're looking at the battle for third. It belongs at the moment to Gary St. Amant. Fourth place is Mike Garvey in the Tecumseh Chevrolet. And then the Zaxby's chicken machine, number 83, that is Joey Clanton in fifth position. He's a two-time winner this year.
If we watch these three, just behind them, Butch Miller in the 52 car is moving up also. You see him coming in just behind Joey Clanton in the yellow car there. And the strange thing, Butch Miller has led over 10,000 laps in ASA, but never one lap here.
Butch Miller is in sixth position at the moment. He started in seventh, so he's picked up one slot since the beginning and is threatening. Well, I guess you could say he's in that fight for 3, 4, and 5. Mike Miller in the number 18 machine started way back at the back. He only got in the field because of points accumulated already this year. He is right now running in the 25th position, so he's picking up more and more spots on the track. And there he is, working his way slowly and patiently up through the field. But that's what you expect from a veteran.
Well, Mike Miller had a little bit of problems getting the setup he wanted in the race car, and he said he just really worked very, very hard to get it to run right on that white line. And as you can see, it's working right now.
Mike White,
that white line.
Mike White, the number 41, that black and gold machine just in front of him, is the next target up the track. Then the 07 of Brad Lemley. So Miller, the veteran, working on a couple of guys who are brand new to ASA racing in their first go of it here at Hawkeye Downs. Lemley is 24 years old, a biology major at the University of Alabama.
Boy, there's so many of these boys that are graduates from college and chose to go into racing, but I think a lot of them have engineering degrees. I know that Joey Clanton does. The driver of the 83 car went to Georgia Tech.
Mike Miller continuing to work on the 41 car of Mike White, the Quality Plumbing Chevrolet right there. White, a newcomer as well in the number 41 car. It's his first race. He's a 7-time champion around the Chicago area in late model, so he's somebody that knows his way around the racetrack. And give a call again to Johnny Sauter. He knows how to run on the point, and you can see there in that last picture, he's starting to pick up some traffic. I think that's the 19 car of Dennis Lampman that he's going to overtake first. But Johnny Sauter checking out at the moment over Sawinski, St. Amant, Garvey, and Clanton. That is the top 5. We're at Hawkeye Downs in Iowa, the early laps of the Iowa 300. Back at the Iowa 300, Chris McClure alongside Buddy Baker. We're going under caution. The 07 machine with Brad Lemley behind the wheel did a loop in the turn 3 and 4 area just a moment ago. He gathered it up and kept it off the wall, but it did draw the first yellow of the afternoon. And Buddy Baker, that will bunch him up at the front, put a little more pressure on Johnny Sauter, and also give an opportunity to folks like Butch Miller, who were moving up.
I think Butch Miller right now has found a groove out there that he's able to go in a little bit wide, cut to the bottom of the racetrack, and he was able to make a pass on the outside part of the racetrack, which is very rare here. So he has a good setup under the 52 car.
So we're about a lap away. It wasn't much cleanup. They had to check the track, and they've done that, but we're only a lap or so away from getting back to green flag racing. And Johnny Sauter, there you see him at the point, gathered up behind the Camaro, which happens to be this day 1969 Indianapolis Motor Speedway pace car. Beautiful car.
Just a little fluctuation in speed there, as you can see. 49 miles an hour under caution here. 94 average out there when they're under green.
Jana King Pontiac of Mike Miller has made a turn into the pits. Don't know what that's for. He was making up ground under green prior to the yellow. They're going for right side tires, it looks like.
And they cleaned the front area of the car right along in there to try to get some of the rubber off the front part of the car. They use a little tape up here to make a little more downforce, and when it gets caked up like that, you need to get the rubber off the front so it gets fresh air.
A real quick pit stop for him, and back in the pack, working on handling just a little bit, probably beneficial. As long as you don't lose a lap, you might as well make the adjustment, make the car better.
Well, and he can stretch his fuel a little bit further right now, maybe catch a caution when he needs to.
And now we go back under green, and in traffic, Garvey has Joey Clanton on his hip as they try to fight it out for the third position in the race. And there goes Clanton right around the outside as they work in turn number 4. And Sauter's checking out a little bit again, right off the start.
Sauter didn't have anybody to contend with, and he got about a 15 to 20 car length lead over the bunch back here. But from 2nd to 5th right now, nose to tail down the back straightaway.
Sawinski running in the 2nd position. You can see him up the track as Mike Garvey tries to maintain contact with Joey Clanton, who has gotten through him just a moment ago. There goes Sawinski, then goes Clanton, and there's Garvey just behind. Behind Garvey is Butch Miller maintaining contact. And they're now all working in traffic with lap traffic as we're on leader lap number 29 of 300 in this event. Look at that, the wide shot in turn number 4. There goes Sauter, then Sawinski and Clanton. Sauter just driving away from him.
Well, I can tell you right now that Kevin Sawinski has been a factor in every race this year. Been right up there with a chance to win if he had just laid over on somebody, but very clean driver. It's his 9th start here at Hawkeye Downs.
Hasn't won since 1997, and everybody thinks he's due. There's Mike Miller as he continues to try and work his way up through the field. He did go to the pits, and that dropped him back a few spaces, now listed in 28th spot. But he'll figure a way to get better than that. Let's go to Bob Dillner.
Well, let's ask crew chief Carl Hyland, why did Mike Miller stop then?
Well, we was real tight, Bob. We changed the setup completely from what we had in the car yesterday. We started the car too tight. We had to stop and loosen it up. But with the Vortex Power and Jana King Pontiac, we'll do good. I'd like to say hi to my kids and my grandchildren back home.
Well, you know, guys, Mike Miller has 3 cars in his stable. He calls the car that he is currently running this car. He has 2 other cars, that car and the other car. Well, this car, the car that he's running here today, has more than 150 races on it. That's pretty incredible. What do you think?
I think that these cars last a long time. Guys are using stuff from years and years ago. You know, the championship car of 1994 is still in service.
But they say about Mike Miller, he's a self-taught engineer. He didn't go to school to become an engineer. He taught himself to be an engineer, and he does a lot of the chassis work himself on this car.
You see them stringing out as they work along the front straightaway through turns 1 and 2. What's the best line around here? Everybody says stay low, but we've seen some folks work pretty fast up high.
Well, a lot of times you have to vary your line to make the car work, and whatever gets around the speedway the best. But right at the moment, Sauter is right on the bottom, but you can see other people making passes on the high side of the racetrack and not giving up any ground to the car on the inside.
And one of the cars on the inside, the yellow number 38 right there, that is Johnny Spa, the Metcalf Pharmacy's car from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, is he. He knows his this racetrack as well as anybody out there. There's no question about that. And he has an opportunity for a top 5, if not a win, we would think.
Well, we talked about Ricky Bryant in the 35 just getting in the show last night, but he hit a barrier on the back straightaway and cracked that concrete barrier in half, and they had to rebuild that car all the way from the ground up. So he's just lucky to be here. You can see a little bump and run here. Very, very common wreck in turn 3.
And in turn number 3, we have one up against the wall. It looks like it might be Scott Frazier. We'll double check on that. It is the 00 car as he pulls away from the scene of the accident. But that's a terrible turn of events for Scott Frazier, trying to work himself up from 20th in the starting field. And he was back there because he just didn't have the setup for qualifying. Had to run the qualifier last night, which he won, and now the car's gotten away from him.
Boy, they're going to have to peel all that off the front of the car. You can see these cars have carbon fiber fronts on them. They'll be able to pull that off and continue on, but a lot of work to be done.
Bob Dillner.
Well, Scott Frazier pulls his unsponsored 00 into pit road. The crew going to work on the right side right now. You can see a lot of damage to the left front of that race car as well as the right front. Scott Frazier has shut off the car right now. The crew trying to tear off the body. The hood's stuck on that car right now. We actually have a fire on the header pipes on this car. Taking a look underneath, looks like some bent suspension components. And take a look at the fire on the brake rotor. Scott had those brakes just locked up going into that crash. Buddy talked about earlier how important brakes are here at Cedar Rapids. Well, that just shows you right here how much pressure is applied to them. You can see the heat just caught the brake rotor on fire. The crew trying to get this car back out there, but guys, it looks like this car is in trouble today.
Well, they put it out, but what some of that was some of the braking ducts that they put in there were actually on fire also.
And Scott Hansen is in big trouble. I don't know if that was a 2-car accident. I didn't actually see it, Buddy Baker, but obviously there's damage to his machine as well.
There was about 3 or 4 cars involved, and of course Scott Hansen was. You can see the front end completely ripped off. That's the fender back against the door there. He's dragging that along. I'm sure they're going to come in and pull that off right now.
And we're watching him from on board the pace car as he makes his turn into the pits. He swings around toward his pit stall, and I think Sandy Hang is in that vicinity.
Yeah, he has pulled in. They are going to take this opportunity to take on right side. You can see there is, at least appears to be a little bit of damage. There it is. You see him pulling off the bodywork, trying to get as much away from the front of the car as they can. They may need to take off that left front quarter panel as well. Scott is down and away. They may try to get to that on another stop.
Nearly got it sideways as he guns it out of the pits. Let's go back and reconstruct what happens. There it is, buddy.
Well, Scott Frazier had nowhere to go. He gets just whacked going in the corner there. You see Robbie Powell back here in the 63 up against the wall.
Now this is on board with Scott Frazier, the 00. There's the contact. So the first contact was in front of him, and number 35, that was Ricky Bryant was involved in that, and then there was contact from the back.
The reason that happens is the preferred line is right on the bottom of the racetrack, and if you're out against the wall and you don't see the car on the quarter panel underneath you, as you start across, you collect everybody.
So they all operate for the second time in the event under a yellow flag. That was the leader there just a moment ago, Johnny Sauter, who's led from the beginning. And from Duffy's Collectible Cars, not too far from here, there was the pace car. That is a beauty. The 1969 Camaro, the pace car at the Indianapolis 500. We're at Iowa for the Iowa 300. It is edition number 5 of the $6 million ASA AC-Delco series for 2000. Back at the Iowa 300, we have resumed full speed action. Johnny Sauter still in front by a couple 3-car lengths with Kevin Sawinski in the Texas Roadhouse Chevrolet just behind it. Then Joey Clanton, who's won twice this year, and Mike Garvey in the 4th spot.
And as they were going around, as they got the restart there, Sawinski got into the left rear quarter of Sauter, and that let Clanton catch right up. I tell you what, we're going to have a shootout here all day long because these cars are so evenly matched. Sawinski able to close in, getting into the corner, right on that white line, able to really jet off that corner. You see him looking to the outside. It's not going to be long before there's a battle for the lead.
This is exactly what you were talking about, Buddy Baker. Here comes the bump right there, right after the restart. He nearly got him sideways, didn't he?
There's no horn on these cars. That's just a way of leaving your calling card.
Well, he's back a couple of car lengths now, but Mrs. Sawinski standing by. That is Tracy, who works on the car and does a lot of the tire work and so on. Very interested right now. I'll tell you what, it's been a long time since this man won a race. 1997. He's been so close, and folks say he's due.
And he won right here at Hawkeye Downs, so he knows how to get around here. That same year, he won the championship also.
He's closer and closer. Don't think he's biding his time. He's looking for a seam to get by Johnny Sauter. He's going to keep the pressure up, see if he can force a mistake. If not, just go ahead and muscle his way through.
Well, I'm noticing Johnny Sauter's car is beginning to step out just a little bit in the center part of the corner. What I mean is the back of the car is starting to slide out just a little bit, and it opens the door for Sawinski on the bottom.
Working on leader lap number 53. Meantime, an update from the pits. Bob Dillner.
They've got the Sawzall and the grinding wheel out, trying to get the 00 back out in the racetrack. But what happened out there, Scott?
Two cars come together in front of me and got spun around into the wall, and I just had no place to go.
Tough break for Scott Frazier. He has 3 top 10 finishes working into this event. He's not going to get number 4 here today, even though he won last night's qualifier race. Crash.
Take a look at what he was talking about, buddy. We're on board with Scott.
Well, you can see Glenn Allen Jr. there in the 56 gets in to Bryant's car, and then along comes the 47, bang, on the outside. He gets on by. No real damage to that car. He continued on.
And there's the first place battle ongoing as we ride with Kevin Sawinski. You know, his only top 5 finish at Hawkeye Downs in 9 races was the victory you were talking about back in 1997. He led 176 laps that time. Hasn't led a lap yet here today, but I guarantee he's a major contender. As we can see, there's Johnny Sauter holding on to that first position, which he's done since the green flag.
Yeah, but you see Sawinski better off the corner. Sooner or later, that's going to play out.
Oh, and number 47 is backward. That's Todd Roseborough from West Branch, Michigan. There was one other car involved in the yellow. Comes out one more time, so they'll bunch him up. It looks like Glenn Allen Jr. was also involved. Number 99, Tim Schmidt, is the car that was with him. Yeah. So Tim Schmidt from Muskego, Wisconsin, and the first-timer Todd Roseborough from West Branch, Michigan, the Hawk Motorsports Pontiac, got together and got around in the same vicinity on the track. Don't know for sure if they bumped into each other, but once again, the Camaro pace car jumps onto the track and gathers up the field, and in the pits, Sandy Hank.
Well, I'm here with Kevin Sawinski's wife. I know during the last caution he was talking about a couple of problems with the car. What is he saying about the car?
Well, he's very comfortable with this car, the Texas Roadhouse Chevrolet they had here. They came and tested. He's real comfortable with it. He said it's a little bit of tight in 3 and 4, right in the middle. Probably going to work on that with a little bit of air pressure, but he's very patient, and I think it's really early in the race, so just conserving tires and stuff.
But when you were here testing, it was actually snowing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 4 below, and the wind chill, I can't even tell you what it was, so it was a little bit different. But
day after Easter, and you had to cut it early.
Yeah, he's real comfortable with this track, though. He's been here quite a bit of times. We've won here once, twice, so we're looking for a good day, hopefully.
Okay, and another little update for you on Scott Hansen's car. They did want this caution. They were hoping for another because they want to duck in and also work on a little bit more of that body work that they need to rip off. They're really concerned about the duct work that's on the right side. They thought they got it taped down. If it comes loose and moves like a snake, he may be out of the race.
We'll keep a close eye on that. There you get a good look at number 55, Greg Williams from Hubstead, Indiana, in the Greg Williams Racing Chevrolet. You know, he's hoping to mine sweet rewards in racing. The other half of his life is another kind of mining.
Our shift starts at 5, and we're usually back in our pickups at 4 o'clock. We work till 4. The name of the company is Kester Companies. The division of the company I work for is the coal division, which is called Vigo Coal. I've been there 20 years, since I was 20 years old, after I got out of high school. They'll load over 5,000 tons a day out of the mine. It takes it directly to the power plant. A lot of times your job will get changed every so often, and you'll do something different. You're not doing the same thing maybe for a year. You might do something different for a couple months, and maybe a couple months later you're doing a different job. Basically, everybody at the mine, they can do any jobs that are there, so the switching around kind of is a good change for everybody.
You get a lot of time to think in these machines, and sometimes the day goes pretty long. You know you need to get back to the shop, and get the car repaired for the next race.
Well, Greg owns and operates his own team. Jeff Montgomery is his crew chief, and there you see him out on the track about to accept the green with the rest of them. And here we go. Johnny Sauter under heavy pressure from Kevin Sawinski and the rest.
Right now, he needs to stay right on the bottom of the racetrack. Sawinski did not get a great start on when they dropped the green. He dropped back about a car length and a half and was not able to really apply a lot of pressure. See right there, the car wiggles, and now Sawinski's up beside him.
They bump together as they come off the corner. Looked like Sawinski put the left side all the way down to the grass. And he may have the position out of the straightaway. Is it his? Is it his? I think it is.
Yes, he put the power slide on him coming out of 2 and down into 3. Sawinski takes the lead.
So he's got a little tire mark on the door back there, but not. Oh, look at Sauter back there getting loose.
I watched that about 4 or 5 laps before the caution came out, and he was having a little bit of problem off the corner. And I'm talking about Sauter. Now Clanton's putting a little pressure on him.
Tracy looks on with approval, and the fight for second place is the battle up front right now as Clanton takes a peek down to the inside. Sauter has him blocked on the low groove, but he's right there. Clanton can see how loose he was and what problem he's having with the car. There, the back end steps out just a little bit in the middle of that corner once again. So Joey Clanton trying to get second place away from Johnny Sauter, who has just yielded the lead a couple of laps ago to the Texas Roadhouse machine of number 21, Kevin Sawinski, looking for his first victory in the ASA Racing Series since 1997. He leads it, then Sauter, Clanton, Garvey, and Gary St. Amant. Stay right there. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Iowa 300 for the 4th time in this sun-bathed afternoon. We've gone to yellow. Number 38, Johnny Spa, turned it around. He put a little dirt on the track. Don't think he hit. In fact, I know he didn't hit anything. Should be a short yellow, Buddy Baker, but that puts a little crimp in his plans, don't you think?
Makes a little thing about me predicting that he's going to win, too. He's got to turn it up another notch if he's going to win, if he's going to keep turning it around, coming off the corner. But probably what happened there is he had a little help, I would say. You know, probably getting off that corner. That's a strange place to lose a car.
Was he rubbed?
Probably was.
Okay. So under yellow, we have Johnny Sauter in second place, Kevin Sawinski in first. We're in our second group of 50 laps. What happened in the first? Well, a nice clean start, and they did run for a good long time under the green from that initial green flag, with number 1 Garvey in 4th position, trying to chase down his teammate and all the rest in front. There you see Johnny Sauter, their early leader, well off in the lead as they come off turn number 4 and onto the straightaway. Good look at the man who had won his second pole of the 2001 season. At the beginning of the race, he was checking out. Meantime, Garvey and Clanton and Miller hammer and tong for position of half a straightaway or more behind the lead, but nonetheless having a terrific race among themselves. The leader, number 9, looking back from him to second and third, how they had strung out. We had a couple of yellows during this 50-lap segment, and then the 0-0, Scott Frazier, along with Ricky Bryan and several others, got cobbled up in turns 3 and 4, bringing out yet another yellow flag. But that brings us up to later lap number 76 under the yellow. Kevin Sawinski in the Texas Roadhouse Chevrolet is the leader. Then Johnny Sauter, Joey Clanton in the Zaxby's car. And then you see Lampman is, Dennis Lampman in the position as you look at the rest of them on down the list. Mike Cope in 11th, then Mike Eddy, Tim Taylor, Pat Kelly, and Buddy Baker. Pretty action-packed
Absolutely. It's exactly what I thought the race was going to turn out to be. It's just you get out of position just a little bit, you lose the spot. That's what happened on the restart there. I think Sauter may have not cleaned his tires properly, got all the rubber off of it. When they dropped the green, he was a little bit loose. He went down in turn 3. The car kicked out. He lost the lead.
So we're at the Iowa 300 as some pit stops are unfolding, but not with the contenders. Down the road, Duffy's Collectible Cars. This, a 1963 Corvette. What a body style that was with that 327 cubic inch engine. Stay right there. We're at Hawkeye.
Hawkeye Downs, the battle resumed. There you see the leaders coming off turn number 2. Buddy Baker, that is hammer and tongue. Kevin Sawinski and Johnny Sauter. And the 41 car, that's Mike White, has turned it around just as we get back to action. It interrupts what has been a sensational bit of racing.
Oh, I guarantee you, Sawinski's been hammered 3 or 4 times. Johnny Sauter all over the back of that 21 car. He hit him 2 times in one corner a while ago, just letting him know he's there, not getting him out of shape, or whacking on him, trying to get his concentration off.
Pretty good rubbing going on. Johnny Sauter trying to get back to the point, which he had been in for about the first 70 laps or so. Let's take a look at what happened with the 41 machine as Mike White just steps out.
You know what that's called? Running out of talent.
Okay.
He's in the throttle, he's coming off the corner, and all of a sudden, right on around.
Wait a minute, I have a message here. It says, Mr. White would like to speak with you after the show. I don't know what that's about, but there we are. That's what happened that brought out this latest yellow. It is the 5th of the afternoon on a sun-bathed Saturday in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, as he tucks back into line. But again, they bunch up at the front. Now we have Sawinski and Sauter. They pulled away a little bit from the field and were having their own private battle for the race lead. Then Clanton, Garvey, and Miller, the next group of 3, were nose to tail, and they were pretty much doing the same thing. Then a little bit of a break back to Schneider and Cope, Eddie, Taylor to round out the top 10. But Johnny Sauter right there with a marvelous opportunity to pick up a win that he probably thought should have been his back at St. Augustine. Meantime, Bob Dillner, you have one.
Well, you're talking about Sauter and Sawinski playing a little bump and grind. What's that all about with your excitable driver?
Oh, nothing. We're just kind of running here in second. We kind of want to lead everything we can, but car was a little bit loose in the beginning and adjusted the front brakes a little bit, and I think we're going to be all right.
Well, they are going to make an adjustment to Johnny's car on what should be only one pit stop during this race, probably an air pressure adjustment.
Yeah, and you heard them talking about adjusting the brakes. The driver can do that from inside. They have a dial in there that puts more front brake on the car, and what that does is really make the front end give up a little traction when you put more brake to the front.
Back to Sandy.
Well, also, Joey Clanton's team is going to be making an adjustment. They were just practicing for a pit stop, probably to the Pan-Ar, but they think they take it very seriously here. And this has been a remarkable comeback for this team, because after the first practice session, team owner Steve Dale says testing. He went immediately to his calendar, trying to find another testing date before the second race here in Cedar Rapids. That's how far off this car was. And they have been able to get it competitive and at least in the hunt, which they're very proud of.
And, you know, they've been a little bit resilient this year. They win the first race at St. Augustine. That's really nice. You go to California, you finish 27th. The wheels are off the wagon, and everything is kind of frazzled in the whole team as the green flag comes back out. But since then, they've gone 4th and a victory, now run 3rd. So they come back from everything. We're underway again. The green is out. Sawinski pulls away, this time from Sauter ever so slightly. And the serial remains the same into turn 3 and 4. Sauter closes up a little bit in the middle of the corner.
But you can see Sauter's strong suit now that he has more brake into the car. Getting in the corner of the car a lot more stable as he picks the throttle up. He's not losing ground to Sawinski like he was. And getting in the corner, he's just a little bit quicker now.
Well, 2 restarts ago, he had the lead, and he lost it very shortly thereafter. You thought maybe he hadn't taken care of his tires quite right, but apparently he's doing it now.
Well, what you do, you clean the tires off before the restart. If you don't, you have a lot of debris that builds up on the surface of the tire itself, and when you go down the corner, it just gives up. It's like you hit sand almost. You talk about spinning around. A
0-1
360 and continued on. We have a wreck on the back straightaway. Glenn Allen Jr., several cars collected on the back straightaway there.
The 41 machine, we saw him a moment ago. That was Mike White. Also, Glenn Allen Jr. is there. The 07 of Brad Lemley. A couple of newcomers to the series involved in that. Also, Hansen was on hand, but I don't think he bumped into anybody. The initial spin we saw was the 01 machine, a Texas Roadhouse-sponsored Chevrolet from Jason Snyder. Also from the Lefevre stable, and number 38, Johnny Spa. That looks like it might just knock him out.
That might be a little bit more than they can fix. You notice the frame rails there on the left side completely on the ground, so he's got something broken too on that car.
And also moisture coming out from beneath the engine, so that would be another bad sign in terms of his longevity. And there you see Glenn Allen Jr., the 56 machine. Significant damage on that car as well. Let's take a look at how it unfolded. Sideways, 01, that's Schneider. this is a good catch.
Okay, and there everybody's getting a little bit loose in front, and I guarantee you it was a chain reaction behind all the things that are happening there.
Well, the camera swings back up the track. There you see as Snyder is spinning, and these are the people entering the straightaway, and there it is.
Yep.
They all see the smoke, a couple of them check up, and everything starts to happen. 55 was also involved there. Greg Williams, he went to the infield grass, and there you see Spa stopped completely on the track. So the yellow comes out for the 6th time in the Iowa 300, and slam bang action is certainly the name of the game today, with Sawinski on the point, then Sauter, Clanton, Garvey, and Miller. Those are the top 5. Oh man, you talk about great looking machinery down at Duffy's Collectible Cars. This is the Chevrolet from 1957, the Nomad concept car. Eventually became a production car. Isn't that a beauty?
I want it. I want it.
Absolutely. There you look at the top 10. Kevin Sawinski on the point. It is a terrific fight with Sauter and all. Welcome back to the Iowa 300. There's a disappointed young racer, no question about it. We're under yellow, and he's part of the reason why, Sandy Hank.
Well, that's right. His crew is now digging also for trailing arm, trying to get this car maybe back out there. Johnny, just a tough break.
Yeah, the car was fast, really fast. I got spun out there. Scott Wimmer didn't mean to do it, but I got spun out early. Didn't go a lap down. I was came in for an early pit stop, and I was blasting back up through the field, and there's a bunch of guys wrecked in front of me, just the usual deal. That's the old 4 races in a row with the lap cars kind of screwing me around. So bad luck. We'll see if we can get her back out there, though.
Hometown favorite, do you have a trailing arm on the crash wagon?
Yeah, we have trailing arms with us. We're going to lose a lot of laps. I mean, our day is done from finishing good, but, you know, we're in this ASA thing for the points. So get the Medicap Pharmacy, McLeod USA car back out there, hopefully.
Okay, and that's the kind of driver Johnny Spa is. He's going to stay in it and try to get that car back out.
Well, they came to race, and they'll try and get back in. Here's how it all unfolded. There's Johnny Spa sideways. That was earlier on. Yes. That was the first spin he was talking about. And that was when he got tangled up earlier on. And then later, it was a little more significant in terms of his car. There are the leaders under the yellow. Kevin Sawinski, followed by Johnny Sauter, then Clanton, Garvey, and Miller, the top 5. Gary St. Amand, who went backwards early, pretty fast, lost some spaces, and then got her settled down. He's running in 6th. Then Cope, and then Mike Eddy, up from 22nd starting spot. That's remarkable, because he's running in 8th.
8th and climbing, as they say.
Let's go back to Sandy.
Well, just talking a moment ago with Von Suss, who is the crew chief for Mike Garvey, he says that the car isn't exactly the way that he would like it. They're going to be making an adjustment when he comes in, but he is confident with that adjustment that maybe Garvey will be doing just a little bit better after he makes his pit stop. And that magical number for a lot of these cars is 100 laps. So that window of 100 to 125, we may start seeing the leaders come in.
So we're about 13 or 14 laps away from there. Now let's go to Bob Dillner about Mike Eddy.
Well, you guys mentioned he has come from 22nd to 8th. He is on the move, has got the fastest car on the racetrack. Dave Sensiba is part of the reason why. Crew chief, what's going on? That car is moving.
Yeah, Mike's real comfortable with the car. We learned a lot last night. The Myers Tony's car, we're looking forward to going to the front.
Well, Mike finished 2nd in the qualifier race last night, guys. I think the Polar Bear is trying to freeze the competition here today.
Polar Bear's good, but just in front of him, Mike Cope in the 25 car is doing a great job also. He's moving up, and he is very electrifying. If he gets up near the lead, you can believe he'll go for it.
Well, you know, he came from 17th starting position. His race finishes this year 18th, 32nd, 24, and 12 last time out as the acceleration picks up and the green flag comes down from Tom Powell once more, and we watch them into turns 1 and 2. Cope is now in the lead pack, and that's where you've been waiting to see him.
I have. They call him the Wiki-Wachi Warrior, and I'll tell you why. If you see him ever get up there, he's the winner in every division he's ever participated in. He's very fun. He's a lot of fun to watch, believe me.
We were looking there at the top 5 through 3 and 4 as they get off the throttle and onto the brakes a little bit. Now we ride on board with Mike Garvey looking back, and Joey Clanton got way up high on the corner coming off 2, and he lost a spot to Mr. Garvey.
Okay, there goes Clanton up high again. He gets a little contact there from Butch Miller in the black car as they went down in the corner. Just seems that the 83 right now, Clanton may have a tire going down or something. Not able to stay on the bottom of the racetrack as they run side by side with Butch Miller.
Butch Miller trying to take the position away from him. At issue is 4th place in the race, and it looks like Miller's going to get the job done as Clanton's had something on that car go away.
I can tell you right now that he's back under full song now in the car. But you see right there, Wickles, it goes way out wide. Butch Miller unable to pick up the throttle and make the pass. Clanton's car not staying down like he wants it to at the moment.
Watching from Mike Garvey in the Tecumseh Chevrolet looking back. Garvey just got through into 3rd place, getting by Joey Clanton right after the restart. And there they rubbed the door handles together just a little bit. And look, Clanton, he'd almost disappeared to the right, trying to hold on to that racetrack. And now Butch Miller's got him. 4th place belongs to Miller.
Yeah, but he's thinking right now, oh my, why is this car not turning all of a sudden? Because it had been like it was on rails. Now Gary St. Amont's starting to pick him up.
Up front, look at this. Oh. Johnny Sauter all over Kevin Sawinski. The action just doesn't stop. We look back from the Texas Roadhouse machine. Here is Sauter, the blue car, trying to track him down. He was right up underneath him. Now he drops back just a little.
And that missile you see back there just behind him, that 21, Mike Garvey went in the corner so very hard that he went straight up the racetrack. But he's got that car dialed in. But the car on the move right now, the 52 of Butch Miller.
Working leader lap 106. Everybody is in the pit window now, but I don't think they're going to dive to the pits for the moment. They'll probably wait and see if they can catch a yellow. There's some time in terms of fuel and tires before they have to go in.
Exactly, because they've had so many caution flag laps here, they can stretch it a little bit further than just the 100 lap.
So we would look back at Butch Miller now, who is trying to track down Mike Garvey, the Meyer machine of Butch Miller. In fact, they picked up a couple of new sponsors to come along this weekend, Fresh Like Vegetables and Red Gold tomato products. They asked me to mention that. It's all part of that blanket Meyer sponsorship that keeps Butch Miller at the racetrack. Number 21, Kevin Sawinski, sailing along in the lead, but under constant pressure from this young man, number 9.
Look at the front valence on the 9 car there, Sauter, as he goes in the corner. It rubs the racetrack. It goes right down and rubs the racetrack. No air clearance to make the car pick up and push out over across the racetrack. That's the perfect setup when you get them to just rub that front valence.
Take a look at his best lap and last lap statistics. 94.742 in race trim is a pretty substantial piece of work on this course here at Hawkeye Downs. A track that you can't see the undulations as much on television as you can if you stand down on that pavement, but there's a great separation from turn 4 to the top of the hill that is the front straightaway and down into turn 1 of about 10 to 15 feet. You're going uphill then downhill.
Yes, exactly. Downhill then the corner, and then you run uphill off the corner. But one thing about it, great racetrack, very smooth. I went around today just to see what might be wrong with the racetrack. I couldn't find anything. I think it's the driver's track.
These guys love it. There's no question about that. Everybody that runs here comes away with a smile on their face. There you can see as they dive down the hill. Now, this is about the lowest place on the racetrack. Now they're heading back uphill, and they're also about to pick up some lap traffic.
That's Butch Miller's wife right there. You can see the women really take it rougher than the drivers. They're doing everything they want to do. The wife is standing there, oh, I hope he can catch up. I hope he can do this. You can just tell there's a lot of, you know, they really are right on pins and needles all day long.
But Donna Miller's been through it many, many times. She's pretty comfortable standing there watching her man do his work, and he's doing it well today, running in the 4th position. Consistency, you talk about consistency all season long. Here's the model of it, and it's why he's leading the points, because he hasn't won a race and he leads everybody in the championship. 4th, then 3rd, then 2nd, then 9th in the 4 races contested so far. That speaks for itself in terms of everything he's done. And now Scott Frazier is back out there as lap traffic as the leaders overtake. Sawinski is the leader. We're at the Iowa 300 at Hawkeye Downs. We'll be back in just a moment, so stay right there. Welcome back to Hawkeye Downs, the Iowa 300 under yellow for the 7th time as we work leader lap 123 of 300. There's a good look at the race leader, Kevin Sawinski. You can see the tire marks on the side. That is the result of the contact
with number 2, Johnny Sauter, when they contested first place just a little while ago. We talked about brakes and how important they are on short tracks. Well, Buddy Baker, there's a pretty good look underneath Mike Garvey's car. Not too hot right now under yellow, but pretty important.
Yeah, you can see they're not using them right now because they're running around the caution laps here at about 45 miles an hour. But believe you me, there's a storm going on in that area right there when they go back under green.
And now the leaders are going to choose to pit. We're at leader lap number 125, and all of them dive in, follow the leader, and everybody that's a contender moves on to pit road. Bob Dillner, you're there.
Well, Kevin Sawinski has his car on pit road right now. The crew attending to the right side of that car, changing 2 tires. He is already on his way. On the other side of pit road, Johnny Sauter cautiously brings his car down into his pit stall. The crew knows this tire stop is very, very important. They're going to work on the right side of that car right now. Sawinski, Garvey comes around. Garvey and St. Amant almost hit, but it's Sauter off of pit road first.
Boy, that changes around everything. Sauter got out. Garvey comes out second. Sawinski came out all the way back in the 5th position. Let's see, I think Butch Miller got back out there ahead of Sawinski as well. So track position all important, and boy, what a big change in the pits.
Yeah, and a great break there. You know, Johnny Sauter led the race in St. Augustine, the first race of the year, till his first pit stop, and then he jumped, I guess, some cars on the back straightaway and didn't get back in position right. They brought him back in. Great pit stop then. He beat everybody back out. His stop there on the end of pit road also got him great position to accelerate the minute they got through his pits, and he did have a great stop.
Joey Clanton comes out in 7th position, I believe. We'll wait till it changes around. In the meantime, let's go to Sandy Hank.
Well, Joey Clanton desperately needed this caution, and he needed this stop. The crew was ready to go. Look, they had this note. They were practicing 10 turns per inch on the Panhard bar. They knew that's what he needed to make a correction. Also, Kevin Sawinski made a correction 2 turns. So this is going to be changing the cars as they get out when they go green after this round of pits.
Well, things really changed around, and we'll review that in just a moment. But suffice to say, for the moment, Johnny Sauter got back on the point with a great pit stop in the last pit around the track. Meantime, laps 51 through 100. Well, the race's 3rd caution brought us to a lead change shortly thereafter. It was Sawinski against Sauter at speed, and Kevin Sawinski was able to get a little better restart. He got down underneath. There's the bump. That left a tire mark on the door, and by the time they got to the other end of the track and off turn number 2, he had the position with Joey Clanton looking on in the yellow car from just behind. That Johnny Sauter thought he'd fight back a little while later. He got him a couple of times. He bumped him from the back, Buddy Baker, but he was unable to get the position until just a moment ago in the pits. He couldn't do it at that point on the track. The number 41, Mike White, swung around and caught it on the front straightaway. He was all right, but shortly after that, Jason Snyder spun off in turn number 2, and before that was all done, 5 folks had been involved in a brouhaha, and number 38, that of Johnny Spa, the Medicap Pharmacy's car, had to step aside, at least for the time being, as they try to pick their parts up and put them on the car. Take a look at it. Number 28 is the race leader at the moment, Tim Taylor, because he has not done a pit stop, and he is still on the racetrack as we get the full field rundown. But nonetheless, and he has done a pit stop, and he comes swinging back onto the track. But just take a look at these standings. We're at lap number 128 for the leaders. Now, this will change around just a little bit after the yellow flag and all the pit stops are done, but right now we have number 28 in the lead.
Well, the one thing that changes everything, anytime you have pit stops, everybody gets to adjust the air pressure on the car, change a few things on the handling, and really get them more competitive. Some cars that wasn't very good could be great now.
Well, Gary St. Amant went into the pits in the 6th position. He gained some spots against the contenders coming out. Let's go to Bob Dillner.
It was a very good pit stop for the wins bunch. Gary St. Amant complaining early on of a loose handling car entering the corner. You didn't make an adjustment, Bill McGowan. Why not?
Well, it was real ugly for quite a while here. We had plans for making wholesale changes here, and Gary said he changed his line about 2 laps before that yellow, 3 laps. Actually picked up about 2/10 a lap, so he said, don't make no changes, we'll try this. So.
Very, very interesting. The track may be changing, guys.
1 lap to go before we go back to green. The official leader on the scoreboard now is number 55, Greg Williams. The Greg Williams Racing Chevrolet. Sauter second, then Garvey, then St. Amant, Miller, and Sawinski in 6th position. Number 22 is piloted by David Stremme, the Herzog Motorsports entry. Sandy, you have more on him?
He's moved up 7 positions. Howie Leno, what is that part you won't talk about you left in the shop?
Well, it was just a piece off the rear suspension. That
what piece?
I changed it at the shop. I thought I could make the car better. As it turned out, it made the car worse, and I managed to find one at the racetrack, but we struggled yesterday with it. But he's coming along pretty good. We got in a wall a little bit with the right front corner, avoiding one of the wrecks, and it hurt us a little bit. But
now they're going green.
I think we're going to be okay here.
And we still don't know what the piece was.
Yeah, I don't know. Trailing arm or something that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Okay, we're now riding on board with Mike Garvey, who is working on the back of Johnny Sauter, who is second in this race. The 50, well, now he isn't anymore because they're getting by number 55, Greg Williams. Greg Williams at the restart was the official leader. He had not pitted. Now all the contenders are getting by him. Johnny Sauter leading the way.
Yes, and he has clear racetrack, but everybody got bottled up behind Williams, and it really made the first 5 cars really bottle up there, almost a wreck.
Kevin Sawinski running in the 6th and 5th position in the race. Really lost out on the pit stops over there in the Texas Roadhouse machine. He's trying to fight his way back. There's Sauter. Now this is lap traffic in front of him. The way the serial lined up coming to the green, there was lap traffic just in front of all the contenders and leaders in the race. So he's dealing with traffic as he moves back onto the front straightaway. He's just about dispatched them all. Second place belongs to the number 1 car, the Tecumseh Chevrolet. That's Mike Garvey back there, and he's dealing with that lap traffic as well. Right in front of him, right next to him now, is Brad Lemley. Here comes Gary St. Amant as both of those get through him the lap traffic. So Garvey in second and St. Amant have now cleared the traffic, and the only guy in front of them is number 9.
But one thing I'm noticing right now is Garvey is not pulling back on Johnny Sauter right now. Johnny Sauter out there right by his lonesome, and he has the perfect line into the corner. Car working very well. Back in the pack there, they're fighting with lap traffic.
And we got a fight among great veterans, Butch Miller and Mike Eddy. There you see him on the right side of the screen, the black car with Myers on the side, number 52, and also number 11 with Myers on the back and across the front, number 11, the yellow car. That is a battle for position. It is 6th at stake. Butch Miller has 6th. Mike Eddy is in 7th.
And just behind him, of course, we have Cope there in the 25 car. That's the Florida auction car.
So a 3-way fight for 6th position, dicing among other contenders and lap traffic. It's unbelievable. There's no rest out here, is there?
I'm telling you right now, Sawinski. Gary St. Amant just took over 2nd spot on the high side of the racetrack.
So St. Amant gets through Garvey. He had a car that was going away, it appeared, in the first 50 laps of the race. He's fought his way back and now rides in 2nd, although he's almost a full straightaway behind Johnny Sauter, who again has checked out. His car looks like it did at the beginning of the race, buddy.
Well, one thing about Gary St. Amant, we just talked to his crew chief, and they said he changed his line just a little bit. Notice how far out from the white line on the bottom that everybody else has been running. He's out wider on the racetrack, taking a different approach. His apex into the corner much different than most of the other cars.
The Wynn Chevrolet of Gary St. Amant, and now we have Sawinski and Butch Miller. This is a fight for 5th, and Miller has tracked down Sawinski and gotten through, and Mike Eddy wants to come along, and there's contact between Sawinski and Mike Eddy. They nearly got sideways, but they straightened it up on the straightaway. Now we're on board with Sawinski looking back at Eddy. He pulled out of that fight after they came together.
A great veteran gave a break right there. There's a give and take in racing sometimes, and right there, Mike Eddy shows he's a gentleman because he had Sawinski where he could have turned him around.
And he didn't. Sawinski continues on in the 6th position. Eddy figures he's going to get another shot at him, but his mirrors are full of Mike Cope as well. Number 25, the blue machine. Look how close he is to Eddy. This is a great fight, 1 through 10. There is no rest for the wicked or the righteous in this one.
And as you see smoke on the Speedway, the 33 car of Stewart right now, smoke just pouring out of the car.
indication we're going to go to yellow that he's putting anything on the racetrack, at least for the moment. There he is, number 33, Greg Stewart, the Screaming Eagle Motorsports Pontiac, in some trouble. And there he is, the race leader, Johnny Sauter, the AP Plasman Group Chevrolet. He's having a very fine day, thank you very much, making the most use he possibly can out of his second pole position of this season. The Iowa 300 will continue.
We're back at Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where we have a rough and tumble ASA race. This is what's left of Greg Stewart's car. The crew going to work on the front end. They've taken the body off. A very tough day, which is tough for Greg Stewart because it looks so promising from a fifth starting spot. What's going on?
Well, we had a good car all day. We were a little loose on the start of the race, so we decided to pit early. We wanted to pit early, so then when the leaders pitted, we'd be up toward the front more. But when you pit early and you go to the rear of the field, then you got that trash that you get in with all the wrecks and everything. And we got in that wreck on the back stretch, and it tore the front end off, and now we got problems. Our day's done.
Tough day for Greg Stewart, guys.
Good day so far for Johnny Sauter, though. Since the pit stop, he's been sailing away a little bit, Buddy Baker, much like he did at the beginning of the race on fresh tires.
On fresh tires is the big key right there. Gary St. Amant, I think I would have probably adjusted on the car just a little bit. Who can second guess, though? Gary St. Amant, a great champion in this division. But I would have probably changed the car to run a little bit lower on the racetrack. But hey, it's working for him right now. But Garvey is just slowly closing in on the 7 car, Gary St. Amant.
Garvey owns 3rd position, and he's a couple of car lengths behind the 7 machine. There you see them in the middle of turn number 3 and 4. The yellow car in the distance just behind them, maybe 7 or 8 more car lengths back, is Joey Clanton, who has got 2 victories this year. He runs 4th. Then Butch Miller. You see him in the black number 52. And then Sawinski, Eddie Cope, Payne, and Scrimmy in the top 10.
Yes, and something else is going to come into play. They're just fixing to get into some severe traffic problems. Just in front of Sauter is a tremendous pack of cars, and they'll have to work through there. We'll see Sauter shows that advantage later. Spin up into turn 3.
Yeah, we've had a spin. The 0-1 machine has turned around. Jason Schneider, who did that earlier on in the event as well in one of the Texas Roadhouse machines. He takes this ride. He has in the past taken the ride here from LaFavor Racing with the Texas Roadhouse, this time on the side. And there's Joey Clanton, who is the 4th place car coming through. This was in turn 3 and 4. It's kind of a lazy turnaround right there. 3 of them got out of shape.
I've watched Jason Snyder's car all day long. It's been a little bit loose in the back. As he started in the corner, he just lost traction. The car spun around, did not get in the wall, and he continues on. So
off he goes. You see his last lap, 78, but he's been, in terms of the rest of the field, pretty quick at times. He's had some individual laps, and he's a veteran racer from around these parts. In fact, he's headed back later today to Elko Speedway up near Minneapolis for the season opener in the modifieds up there, so he's got a busy day planned.
Yeah, 2-time champion there at Elko Speedway.
Now you see Johnny Sauter working that traffic you were talking about, Buddy Baker, down the front straightaway as he gets by number 2. That's Chad Wood and a couple of others. Take a look at the speeds lately. 91.3 for the leader. Then Gary St. Amant going 92, 92.9 for Mike Garvey. So 2nd and 3rd going faster than 1st, at least the last lap.
Yes, what that translates in, actually, Sauter's in lap traffic right now, not able to apply on the bottom part of the racetrack. The others are just catching up to that group now. Their times will drop off just a bit.
So it'll flip-flop back, and all things being equal, when they clear that traffic, they'll be about where they were.
Just as we were talking, it changed there.
Right.
Sauter the fastest on the second lap by there.
And the other 2 drop down. So Sauter now clears the 0-7 machine, Brad Lemley, and he pulls away just a little bit. Once they get by, they just sail away. And Johnny Sauter certainly doing that today. Now he has been in control of the race for much of the running. Sawinski got to the front, and then Sauter got it back with the pit work. Butch Miller, meantime, continues to work from 5th position, trying to move up
a model of consistency this entire season long, and as a result, the points leader coming into this race after 4 in the ASA Racing Series for 2001. Bob Dillner.
And usually his wife, Donna, is just up on top of one of those ATVs, just cheering her husband on. Donna, you look relatively calm today. How come?
Well, the Myers Jolly Rancher Pontiac, when Butch is running up front, I worry about what could go wrong. When he's running in the back and complaining a lot, I wonder about how long of a ride home it's going to be. All the only thing he said this time is it's a little loose, so I'm not sure how to worry about a little loose.
I guess you could say Butch is a little bit emotional. What do you think, guys?
Well, that could very well be, but I think when the chips are down, he's probably pretty cool. 3 times the champion speaks for itself.
Now, for the people back at home, most people know what a loose race car is, but what that really means is you're turning in the corner and the car wants to slide out the back. And that's called loose. When it's pushing, that means the front end is not really sticking to the racetrack, and it pushes up towards the wall.
He's trying to reel in Joey Clanton. He's only a couple of car lengths away now as they work through the corner, just kind of slowly easing up on him. See if he can come to terms with Clanton. That would be a hammer and tong battle in a couple more laps if it continues to close down for 4th position. The number 22 machine, David Stremme from South Bend, Indiana, the Herzog Motorsports car, is currently listed in the 10th spot. He's had a nice outing. He's looking to perhaps catch their eye. This is kind of a tryout race for him.
Well, there's been 3 different drivers in this car this year, and quite frankly, he's doing a great job right now, staying out of trouble, learning a lot about the car. You see the left front fender there, bent in just a little bit, a little contact with some other cars. They're doing a great job today. Mike Miller's still out there in the 18 car fighting along there. That's Sealski in the number 10 there.
Stremme's had some experience in this series, ran 6th at Madison last year. He has 8 races that he's run as an ASA competitor, up from 20th position into the 10th spot now. So that's a good move forward for him. Matt Sealski, there you see the number 10 machine. He's running in 11th position. The 10 car of Matt Sealski. He hails from Northbrook, Illinois. It is a Chevrolet. Started both Hawkeye events last year. 22nd was his best finish, so he could record a somewhat memorable day here if he stays there and does a little better than he has been.
Well, these cars look like they're handling quite well, and the power on these cars are basically all the same. It's just who gets the best setup. Robbie Powell in a lot of trouble up in turn 4, but he gets her back straight again.
There's the race leader, Johnny Sauter. He's running right alongside the number 20 car of Pat Kelly, trying to put him another lap down. We're working leader lap 174 of 300 at the Iowa 300. Don't go away. There's a lot more to come.
It's ASA's Iowa 300 on TNN. Mike Eddy, we told you a little while ago, he had been running so well. This is normally a 1 pit stop race. Well, after his first pit stop, that car went sour. It was very loose entering the corner. Mike said, we got to bring this car back in, make an adjustment, put some more tires on. That's exactly what Dave Sensiba and the boys have done. We'll see if it works out for them as this race goes to conclusion.
Oh, buddy, we are under yellow. There you see a look back from the pace car, which has been dispatched at Johnny Sauter at the slowed upfield. Meantime, we remind you, coming up on Sunday, May 6th on TNN, we have another ASA short track war. These same ASA racers travel to Alabama for the Action Line 300. That's next Sunday, May 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, right here on TNN. Tim from Garfield Heights, Ohio, in the Hawk Performance, Ennard Co., Mr. Heater, Tex Racing, Prestige Motorsports, Pontiac. And you see how they spell his name. We wondered, as did Bob Dillner, how do you say it?
After missing the first race of the year, the driver, the number 6, has finished 5th, 10th, and 14th. That's not bad for a rookie, but the question still remains, how do you pronounce his name? Jerzerjic, I mean, what is it, Timmy?
Yeah, it's Jedrzak, and it's a little difficult, but if we keep running up front and getting some airtime, everyone will realize how to pronounce it. For the sake of easing things up a little bit, we go by Timmy J a lot. It's a little more marketable and easier to say, and hopefully we can get this Hawk Performance Ennard Co. Mr. Heater modified up to the front a little bit.
Well, if he's Timmy J, guys, you can call me Bobby D.
Okay, that's exactly what we'll do. We're well into the second half of this Iowa 300, the 5th round of the ASA Racing Series for the year 2001. Johnny Sauter, the man on the point, has been in control for a fair bit of it. He and Sawinski in number 21 have had a hammer and tong battle for the lead, at least in large part. There you see as they entered the second third of the race, it was Johnny Sauter trying to track down Sawinski with Scott Frazier just in front. Around of pit stops was touched off by a yellow. There's Kevin Sawinski getting his service. He was in the very first pit off the track. At the other end of the pits, all the way around the circle, there was Johnny Sauter, and his team gave him brilliant service. When they came back out, he was in the lead. Johnny Sauter, the leader from that point until this one in the number 9. And Gary St. Amand moving by through Mike Garvey shortly after that last restart, as Garvey's car was just a little bit off. St. Amand went around on the outside Buddy Baker, and he is currently still in the second position. And I, for one, wouldn't have given you a nickel for him being there after the way his car started to perform about 40 laps in.
Yeah, but he adjusted as great short track drivers do. He changed his line on the racetrack, and it's worked very well for him. The reason we're under caution, Paul Payne's fun coming off turn 2 over there, number 94, and he started in 26th and worked his way up to 9th and then spun out. Now he's got to start all over again.
Making a big, long work day for himself, a fellow from Mound, Michigan, in the Justice Brothers Pontiac. As you look at a full field summary, the field all on the back straightaway in turns 3 and 4. Sauter has them in tow as the pace car is off already. Tom Powell has said, yes, you may. The green flag is waved, and off into turn 1 they go. Gary St. Amand going along with Johnny Sauter. Third place to Garvey, then Clanton, then Butch Miller, then Kevin Sawinski, and then a long space back to the rest of them as they get left in the dust, really, on that back straightaway. But the first 6 in a nice, clean, equally paced breakaway.
Just for a second, though, Sawinski on the inside there, Butch Miller on the high side of the racetrack. Right at the moment, Sawinski looked like he has a pretty fair automobile off the corner there, but he didn't make the pass down the back straightaway.
Johnny Sauter led the first 61 laps, gave it up to Sawinski until lap 130, and he has led since then. That is 54 more laps in the book. And there's a look at Kevin Sawinski out the back window at Butch Miller.
Yes, he got him going in the corner there. Butch Miller fought back, but they made a little contact, and Butch knows there's a lot of racing to go yet. That's Sawinski squeezed by on the inside.
So the battle rages on, and Sauter making a little space at the front between himself and Gary St. Amand. And again, we see the Clanton car kind of drifting up to that second lane. We saw earlier he gave up a couple of spots because the same thing was happening.
Right there, you can see the car giving up just a little bit, and Sawinski looks to the inside. Can't pull it off yet, but that way the car is sticking on the bottom and Clanton not able to, it's not long before they'll finally get by him.
Sawinski looking to get back as far as 4th place. He really suffered some damage in the pits earlier on. He came in the lead in that round of pit stops and came out in 5th position, and that is really tough to deal with.
You betcha. And one thing you do then, you really praise the crew for getting you out even if you do lose a few spots, because he knows he has a great race car, and all he has to do is keep his cool and fight his way back to the front.
He's certainly capable of it, as we had mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, particularly when he was in the lead. He's working on his first victory in the series since 1997. He's had some terrific runs in the meantime, finished well in the points, made a living at it, but there's nothing that can substitute for that checkered flag.
Absolutely, and you know, people remind you of, you know that you're not winning, and people come up and say, well, you hadn't won in 3 years, and boy, I tell you, after a while, it's kind of like a spur in your shoe. It's just not a lot of fun.
And you see Tracy out there urging him on from what is now his 5th position, and he's trying to work on a 2-time winner for this year, Joey Clanton. Clanton won once in 2000, twice so far this year, and this may result in some contact. That's where they go down the hill, and you kind of lose sight of them there. Can't tell how close the fenders are together. Now on the back straightaway as they whip into turn 3, right down the hill here, and look at Clanton drift up.
Clanton drifts up, and Sawinski right there on the left rear corner. I'll tell you one thing about Sawinski. Very, very clean race car driver. He had an opportunity then to lean on Clanton, but we've seen this before. He will not do that if he can help it.
I want to clarify something there. Tracy is not out on the the edge of the racetrack. The configuration of the pits is an oval. Oh, look, down inside it, Clant spins it. And he goes into the wall, and the left rear is taking some damage as Joey Clanton drifting up, in almost every corner, lap after lap. Finally, it stepped out on him, and he couldn't hang on to the car.
Now, there was no contact there. He started off the corner, got up in the loose stuff, and the car came right around on him.
So he's got it going in the right direction. He does have left rear damage at least. Let's take a look at it.
Sawinski clearly by on the inside there as they start off. Watch Clanton's car right there. The back steps out. Around he goes. Now watch it slide up and hard into the outside wall.
So it was a private accident, so to speak, as Sawinski was coming down underneath. The hole was there. We're going to see it one more time.
Okay, Sawinski right here, as he starts down in the corner, he gets the run on the bottom part of the racetrack. Under full acceleration, Clanton picks up the throttle right there. He starts around, and he was lucky not to get hit by other cars that were coming up out of the corner behind him. He goes around and hard up into the outside wall. Right there, he's along for the ride. Wheels locked up and bang, into the left rear corner. The nice part was it did not hit the rear end housing until the car was almost stopped, so he will be able to continue on.
Chances are he didn't bend anything down underneath there, and whatever the car was giving him before, which was a little questionable, it may be able to continue. But we're back under the yellow flag, 9th time in this event, as we work leader lap 195, almost to 2/3 distance. Number 11, Mike Eddy's on pit road, and Sandy Heng is in the pits.
I'm down by Joey Clanton's car where you're seeing they're changing those two left sides. He's down. He's got there is quite a bit of damage, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a problem for him on that left rear. He's down and out again.
So he makes his way back toward the track. Eddy, as I mentioned, is in the pits. Here's the replay once again.
Down into turn 3, Clanton slides out just a little bit. Sawinski takes advantage of the inside of the racetrack. Clanton loses the back and around and out into the outside wall.
Very, very close. Bob Dillner.
Well, I am down in Mike Eddy's pit. The crew looking up underneath the hood. Maybe a little overheating problem for the number 11 car. But the main reason they stopped, a flat left front tire. They have changed right side tires twice, have never changed those left sides. BFG, an awesome tire, but they might have run over something. They got a flat left front. They just changed that tire.
So pit stops from some of the lap traffic underway now. The leader is Sauter. St. Amant is second, then Garvey. We're at the Iowa 300, and we'll be right back. TNN continues to bring you all the hard-hitting excitement from the Arena Football's 15th season, as tomorrow the Milwaukee Mustangs visit the Grand Rapids Rampage. The 50-yard indoor war gets underway at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, right here on TNN. We're about to come back to green, less than a lap to go, and they will turn them loose again. In the pits, we have Sandy Heng.
Bon Suss is here. Real quick, Garvey did not like that set of tires last time. Are they coming to him now?
Yeah, they were, one's a little out of balance, I think, but it takes about 20, 30 laps for our car to get going, but it's settling in pretty decent here. This place just gets real slick, and it's real tough to get by.
Can you repeat?
We're running third now. I mean, this is racing. Anything can happen. The top 3, 4 cars are pretty dang close, and track position's pretty crucial, so it's going to be tough.
Okay, let's go racing. Green flag's out.
They agree up on the flag stand, too. Tom Powell says go. Johnny Sauter takes off one more time.
Gary St. Amant was out of position there just for a second. Mike Garvey made a move but couldn't make it stick. Right now, Sawinski on the move, the 21 car there on the bottom of the racetrack, under teammate there, almost contact.
Trying to fight his way back from a less than pleasant pit stop experience and turning it around on the grass. Tim Schmidt in the Chevrolet he's well off the track, and it brings out the yellow almost before they got restarted again as he tries to get back to the pavement, which he is going to do under his own power, bringing along a little dirt and debris with him.
Doing a little yard work as he comes out of there.
No, that was off turn number 4, I believe, and he's going to go.
Well, you can see on the right front corner, he got into somebody pretty hard, probably checked up, and the car come around on him.
Well, he's going just ahead of the pace car, which has caught the field already, and he'll go around and join the back of the pack at the other end of the racetrack. Meantime, they are down to pace car speed one more time with Sauter on the point, followed by Gary St. Amant. Let's go back to Bob Dillner.
Well, we're down here in the infield, and Mike Eddy has gone from fortune to 2. A tough time here. He's got the car behind pit wall. The crew pouring water into the engine. The engine is missing and overheating right now. Tough break for the Polar Bear because he was running so well.
Well, it come from 22nd to well within the top 10 and contender for the race win, and then things went away, Buddy Baker, and I don't know if they can get that squared away.
I'm going to tell you right now, that thing's got a wintertime flu. You hear the way it's running? Look how it's spewing the water back out. I'd say he's pretty well done.
So under yellow, the field moving down the front straightaway. We've just gone past 200 laps in the event and working our 10th gold or yellow of the day. One man's treat, another man's poison. What's that mean? Well, Dillner.
Hey, Butch Miller, there's a quarter on the ground. Once you pick it up, you can make a phone call.
Oh, no, that's bad luck. Must be Gary St. Amant put that thing. I'm getting it out of here.
What are you, superstitious?
Absolutely. You know, if that thing was $1 or more, you can pick it up. That's the rules. But if it's anything less than $1, heads up, tails up, doesn't matter. You can't pick that thing up.
You want some peanuts?
No. You give me peanuts, I might as well get in the car right now. Go up there, hit the #1 wall, because I'm going to do it anyhow.
Boy, these guys are superstitious. Hey, Mike, want some chicken?
I don't want no chicken, Mike.
Come on, we really want you to have some chicken.
No, I don't want no chicken in my pits.
Why are you so testy about the chicken?
Nothing good's ever happened to a chicken. Get out of here with that.
Boy, these guys are superstitious. Well, Gary St. Amant drives lucky #7 in the ASA series, but you say you're not superstitious, so would you eat this chicken?
Well, sure, Bob. As a matter of fact, I think from here on out, my weekend of diet for race weekends will be chicken and peanuts.
Ooh, little ammunition. He may win every race this year with peanuts and chicken in his pits.
Let me tell you something about all that.
Please do.
A guy gave me a rabbit foot one time. I said he had 4 of them. It didn't help him much.
Okay, let's go back to Bob Dillner.
You know, the funny thing is about Mike Garvey, the entire bunch down there, very, very superstitious. They don't like chicken, but apparently they like donuts. Back in his old short track days, Mike used to run the #17. So every race day here in the ASA series, they bring 17 donuts to the racetrack, and the crew has to eat all 17 before the green flag drops. And that mustn't be too good for their figures.
I'm not going there.
No, I'm not going to touch that one. Still under yellow, 10th time in the event. Working leader lap number 205. We have Cedar on the point, followed by Semant, Garvey, Sawinski, and Miller. They are all superstitious in one way or another. Following today's Iowa 300, we still have 15 dates on the ASA racing calendar for 2001. Next week to Montgomery, then Concord. Look at the schedule down through August into September before it's all said and done at Indianapolis Raceway Park. We'll be back here, of course, to Hawkeye Downs later in the year, and that will be the Texas Roadhouse 300. Texas Roadhouse has jumped in as a title sponsor.
Boy, I'm telling you what, the racing couldn't be any better here. The fans are having a great time watching this race as Gary St. Amant tries to reel in the youngster there, Sauter in the #9 car, but just behind him, we have Mike Cope back just in the 8th or 9th place right at the moment, just doing a splendid job. This is the best he's run all year long, and he's looking to the outside right now, trying to move up. As a matter of fact, he's in 6th spot at the moment.
Mike Cope having a good day, one of the best this year for him, and getting into the fray, getting his teeth into the fight a little bit. A good look at Gary St. Amant there. Now, he has not won at this racetrack, and he's been here 12 times before today. He only has 4 podiums, 4 poles, 9 top 10s. He's run the most laps of anybody in the field. He's led the most laps of anybody in the field and never won a race here.
Mike Cope looks to the outside down the front straightaway. The #25, that blue car, not long ago, the 21 there, was leading the race, and right now he's gaining on him, trying to make a pass as Sawinski goes down the straightaway. You can see Cope looking at a different area of the racetrack and actually gaining ground as they go through the corner.
Cope running in the 6th position. Now consider this. Talk about his season. 18th at St. Augustine, then 32nd in California, then 24th back in Florida, 12th at South Boston. A little bit, a glimmer of hope there at South Boston. But today, he's got the bit in his teeth, and he's really having a good time, I suspect.
Absolutely. And he said this racetrack reminds him a lot of his home track down at Lakeland, Florida. He really likes this racetrack.
He's right up on the back of Kevin Sawinski. He is in the fight, looking at the next 2 or 3 positions up the track from just a few feet away. There's Butch Miller right in front of Sawinski, who's right in front of him. This is a great battle, and something I think he's been looking forward to. He hasn't been able to race like this.
And very typical short track racing, inches apart, not laps apart, or not follow the leader, because these guys are fighting it out on every corner. If you slip once, you could go from 2nd to 10th.
Leader lap 217 is what we are on as they move around lap traffic. All three of them swing wide. Cope, that group of 4. It's Miller, Sawinski, Cope, and Garvey in front of them. The number 1 car also involved there. Cope up high as he takes a peek around the outside of Sawinski.
Yeah, and he almost collected the wall over there. He's making a move, but he's he's in the high part of the racetrack. He's in trouble up there. He loses a lot of ground.
Sandy Haig, do you have more?
Well, I'm with his crew chief right now, Ken. What is Mike saying? He's managed to work his way up to the pack. Looks like he may be able to get around a few more cars.
He's really not saying too much. The last stop we made seemed to improve the car a little bit for us. Got to thank Redline Oil for coming on board this year and Florida Auto Auction for everything they do. He's doing a heck of a job. We just hope we're there at the end.
What kind of adjustments did you make that's making him run so fast?
Really, we just put some tires on it. It's really all we did.
Are you playing poker with us? Is that all you did?
I'd never do that.
Oh, that's his crew chief.
Well, the car washed out there, buddy, and now he's got some making up to do.
Yeah, well, the first thing you have to do is get all the trash off the tires and get back up to race speed again, collect yourself, and get your rhythm back. When you do that, it takes about 4 or 5 laps to get everything back the way it was.
So he's working on that part of the riddle right now. Meantime, Sawinski on the low groove, making a move up against Miller at least a little bit. They're side by side going to 1, working around traffic. Sawinski chops across the bow with the number 55 car, that of Greg Williams, and stays right next to Miller, and I think he's got the spot on the straightaway. He does.
See Butch Miller, he didn't realize that Sawinski was able to stay lower in the racetrack and just make the move, and there was no need to fight and just force the race. So he let Sawinski go. You never know what might happen 10 laps from now. If cars go away a lot on short tracks and you lean on the tires, a good car may be a bad car 10 laps from now.
The two of them move around. Scott Hansen also coming along is Cope. You see Cope in that picture right alongside Hansen. And there we have number 10. That's Matt Sealski, who has not had a top 10 this year, but he is running right in the top 10 now, well into the top 10, as a matter of fact, in the 7th position, the number 10 machine of Matt Sealski, the Chevrolet, the young man from Northbrook, Illinois. Good run for him.
Great run for him. As a matter of fact, the best run all year long for him.
Rookie Scott Frazier came into this event first in points, but here's how the rookies are going today. Sauter is in the lead, then Cope, Sealski, you can see where they are in the race. Jedrzejek, Payne, Bryant, Spa, Frazier, who had trouble early and had to step aside, is going to be 30th in the race. He started in the 21st spot as the rookie points leader coming into Hawkeye down. There's the fight at the front. It's becoming a little bit more of a fight over the last few laps. We have less than 50 laps to go.
And you can see Joey Clanton just now fixing to be bypassed by the leader. Not long ago, he was running in 3rd spot, spun coming off the corner, and apparently did some damage to the car when he made contact to the outside. And the leader just goes right on by. He goes a lap down now.
Butch Miller trying to fight back against Sawinski, and Cope has come back to them now as he gathered himself back up. I said it just a second ago, less than 50 laps to go. My arithmetic is well off today. We're working leader lap 228 of 300, so we got a little bit further than that before it's all resolved here. This fight for 4th position, Sawinski's got it. Miller gave it up a moment ago. Miller wants it back.
That's the Texas Roadhouse car, the 21 there of Sawinski. You see right now Butch Miller all over the back of him. He can see in the mirror that Mike Cope has caught this group, and they're going at it now. Butch Miller just giving him enough bump every once in a while to say, hey, I'm still here. I'm still putting some pressure on you.
Well, the Meyer Pontiac drops back a couple of car lengths in the last lap or so, half lap or so. Mike Cope moving up in the Mannheim's Florida Auto Auction Chevrolet. I think he's going to have a crack at Miller before Miller has a crack at Sawinski, at least the way they're lined up at the moment.
That's a great race car because just a little while ago, Mike Cope got up in the loose stuff, lost about 20 car lengths, and has run that group back down. So clearly a better car at the moment.
There is the race leader. He led almost 200 laps of it now. Johnny Sauter on the point. He was on the pole at the beginning. There you see the rest in the top 10. We're at the Iowa 300, closing in on the closing laps. Welcome back to the Iowa 300. Number 2, Chad Wood turned it around in turn 2 and drew another yellow flag. pace car has been dispatched to gather up the field. Johnny Sauter is still on the point. We're working leader lap 229. Meantime, laps 150 to 200. Well, on a restart on lap 182, saw Sauter on the point and holding it on. Meantime, behind them, it turned out to be a battle for fifth between Kevin Sawinski and Butch Miller in the Meyer Pontiac back there, and Sawinski got the spot. Sauter on the point. St. Amant trying to close in and make a battle of it. He certainly has been lurking all afternoon, but unable to close in on him so far. On board was Gary St. Amant. We come up and look at Joey Clanton, who was drifting higher and higher in the group, finally lost it and went sideways. And then we had the number 99 car of Tim Schmidt, who owns his own landscape service, as a matter of fact, spinning right on lap 200 to bring it back to the nice round number. There we are, Johnny Sauter on the point, then St. Amant, Garvey, and Sawinski. Pretty good race so far today, Buddy Baker.
Absolutely. We could tell that last night when they had the qualifying race. Short track racing has more excitement, any type of racing in the world. I don't care what anybody says. Better door handle or door handle racing, and you never know who's going to win until the checkered flag comes out.
You know, the way we've got them bunched up at the front, it is a pretty interesting combination of cars there. You have Sauter, who was on pole at St. Augustine and led 120 laps of that one before he had to step aside and fight his way back to a fourth place finish that night, which was pretty remarkable considering how far he fell back after a penalty and he had to come back into the pits.
I would like to correct myself also. There is no door handle. Those are slick sides, but that's just a saying, folks.
Oh.
You know what they're thinking.
Second place, number 7, Gary St. Amant in the Wins car, then Garvey in the Tecumseh car, and Sawinski in the Texas Roadhouse car. Well, it wasn't so long ago that they were all in contention for another race win. It came up at Lakeland. It was the 3rd edition of this season in ASA racing. And late in the race, what happened? This happened.
Well, Mike Garvey right there gets into a lap car, and you can see Gary St. Amant nowhere to go. Kevin Sawinski high up against the outside wall. And I tell you what, Mike Garvey never lifted.
Never lifted, went on to the victory. Take another look at it, how it unfolded that night. One up against the wall, and then the carnage was commenced. Now, here at Cedar Rapids, we have all the same players in about the same position up near the front, down toward the end of a race. Is it going to happen again?
If Johnny Sauter continues to run like he's running, the crash will be for second.
Okay, we'll go ahead and knock on wood for all of them and let them solve it out on the racetrack. The cars in turn number 4 at the moment, waiting for Tom Powell to give them the signal. They do. The hammers are dropped. Johnny Spaw, number 38, is the yellow car in the serial, but he's 50-some laps down after that long, long pit stop predicated by his earlier spin and contact. But he is mixed in with the contender. Gary St. Amant and Sauter have taken off just a little bit from those in front of him. Then Garvey, Sawinski, Miller, and Cope falling further back, dealing with a little bit of traffic and each other.
Well, first, second, third are out of traffic, but you can see back in here there's a war as they try to get by lap cars. Butch Miller and all these guys moving around on the racetrack trying to get up there where he makes the moves. Spa gets collected a little bit right there.
There's Sawinski trying to get around Spa. He takes the middle of the road. Sawinski takes the high line into the corner. Miller tries to come along, and the blue car, blue and white, that is number 25, Mike Cope right there. Can he squeeze between Spa and the wall before turn 3? A little tight. Then hit the front. Gary St. Amant now moving up on Johnny Sauter. Now, early in the race, Sauter sailed away on fresh tires. After the pit stop, Sauter sailed away on fresh tires. Then he came back to him a little bit.
Well, I tell you what I'm noticing right now. Sauter on the restarts, a lot of times his car does not hook up quite as well. As he goes along, the car gets better and better. But St. Amant looked to the outside twice on the first lap after the caution there, took a wider line, and actually looked like he's going to make the pass for the lead.
With the Wins car of Gary St. Amant, we mentioned his statistics a moment ago in terms of 4 poles and all the close calls. He actually finished second in one of those races, the 12 earlier ones, by about a half a car. That's as close as he's come to a victory. Bob Dillner.
Well, Gary St. Amant just radioed into his crew and said, guys, we have a very, very good race car. Right now, I'm just going to stay behind Johnny Sauter, and about 25 to go, I think I can get by him.
Well, and I think as they get to racing each other, I think they look in the mirror and see Mike Garvey starting to close in just a little bit. If they get running side by side, don't count Garvey out. He's the third car just out of this frame. He's going down in the turn as these other cars are in the center. So he has gained a little bit. I would look for him to make this a three-car race before very long at all.
Let's compare the speeds. Up in the left-hand corner of the screen, Sauter at 93.1 and number 55. Greg Williams has gotten backwards again and again. The yellow comes out. So they slow them down again. It was about the same on the speeds. I didn't see all the decimals there, so I can't give you a complete definition on that, as we see Williams regain the paved part of this racetrack and is headed in the right direction.
I can tell you it's down 2 inches, my friend.
Great crowd on hand here. A sunny day in Iowa. It was about 85 degrees here yesterday. It's a little cooler than that today. I think it's probably real comfortable even in the race cars. You know as well as anybody, Buddy Baker, it can get a little warm in there, but today's a good day for it.
Yeah, but when you're up front, you don't care. If you're back in the back, you're battling the car and not running well, and you get a little warmer than this guy right here, Gary St. Amant.
From Columbus, Ohio, and the Wins AC-Delco Chevrolet, and certainly a candidate for another championship. He is the defending series champion. Bob Dillner, you have more.
Well, we're hanging out in the Wins pits right now, and I'm with Gary's dad, Bud St. Amant. Not feeling too well, but you got to be pretty excited with how your son is running right now.
Yeah, Bob, we're a little bit under the weather, but makes me feel a lot better that he's up front. I hope he can stay there.
Well, he said he thinks he's got a shot at getting by that number 9 car.
Well, if we get a caution with like 5 or 10 to go, we might be a little bit better on the restarts there for a few laps, but I don't know if we got anything for that 9 car. It's awful good today.
Well, if he does have anything for that number 9 car, be rest assured that Bud will be rooting his son on.
250 laps are now concluded. We have 50 laps to go. This is our 12th yellow flag, Buddy Baker. The record for an ASA event here at Hawkeye Downs is 17. So we're not there, but we're closing in on it.
Well, Johnny Sauter, before he made the trip out here to Hawkeye Downs, went to Greenville Pickens and had a great test program and found a better brake.
Tim Taylor, number 28, he had a spin just a little while ago, but gathered it up on the front straightaway. And he is able to continue. What's in a name? Well, sometimes a mild case of misidentification, as Bob Dillner did discover.
Guys, did you know we actually have a famous comedian here in ASA? Look, it's Tim the Tool Man Taylor. Are you really the Tool Man?
No, unfortunately, I'm not really the tool man, but they claim me to be.
And you've been running really well lately. The first time you've ever been in the top 10 in points this deep into the season.
Well, we've had to hype the car up and do the tool man things to it, and it's working out so far.
Well, Tim, his car's been running so well. He brought his backup car here to Cedar Rapids, and he told me I could use it during the race today. So we'll see you later, guys.
Buddy, the sad part is he thinks he can win.
Dillner's 6'6", and he's riding this little car down. You talk about a monkey on a football, he's it.
Number 1, Mike Garvey in 3rd position in the Tecumseh Chevrolet. He's got a win this year. That came at Lakeland. Sandy, you have more with him?
Well, I was just talking with Bon Suss, his crew chief, who was telling me that the groove on the track is actually changing because it's getting a little bit slippery. They've had to move up, and Buddy, I'm sure you can tell us a little bit more about that. Also happening in pit lane, Joey Clanton has popped back inside the pit lane, and they are underneath his car right now trying to make an adjustment to the left front. So it's been a disappointing day, at least for the Clanton crew as well.
Yeah, he was right in there with everybody, and then it started drifting up, drifting up. He spun and hit the wall there, Buddy, and it's been downhill ever since.
Yeah, you just don't hit the wall and not get some damage. He did hit pretty hard on the left rear corner, and what it does is just throw the suspension up against the wall.
We're working leader lap 254. What happened between 200 and 250? Well, let's take a look. Lap 205, we were coming off a yellow as we have so often today. Johnny Sauter on the lead, and Gary St. Amant trying to track him down. The Mike Cope car was challenging Sawinski during that segment of 50 laps, and there you see the Gary St. Amant car. There's Mike Cope trying to close on Kevin Sawinski. Got very, very close, got up alongside him once or twice and had a good look. Then the car drifted away, and he's still fighting to come back. We had Sawinski and Butch Miller. Sawinski got through Miller after handling the challenge from Cope, and then number 28, who we talked about just a moment ago, Tim Taylor, spun on the front straightaway. Mike Garvey was able to steer by safely. All others did, and that brought out a yellow flag, and now we are on leader lap number 254. Coming back to the stripe, the green flag is out. Johnny Sauter with a hammer down. He got a good jump.
Boy, he got a great jump. A couple of car lengths. That does not sound like a lot, but on a short track, that's big. Cope working to the outside there, trying to go by Butch Miller, making it very, very hard for Butch Miller to get back and takes that spot away, moves into fifth.
So Cope up to fifth. Sawinski down to the inside against his teammate. It is Sawinski against Garvey. It looked like they roughed coming off 4, and Sawinski is still there trying to get that position. That's the fight for third, and Cope is right behind Sawinski. If he gets through, Cope's going to try and come with him. Butch Miller is dropping back away from that group of 3 just a little bit. That's a great fight.
Oh, man, I tell you what, they made contact 2 or 3 times. Sawinski gave him a break just then as he got a little bit sideways in the center corner, but there is no team orders. This is who wins the race. Good for you. Mike Cope, though, the best run he's had all year long, and that blue and white number 25 really has picked it up. He's right in the fight here.
Kevin Sawinski's wife, Tracy, a little discouraged at the moment. I think she thought, like I did, that he was going to get through. He was right up there in position to make the pass, but Garvey held him off in the Tecumseh car. So Kevin Sawinski tucked back into 4th position, at least for the moment, working leader lap 258. The countdown to 300 is underway.
That was a beautiful shot there for 4th spot. You can see the leaders just up in front. Everybody right now working very, very well on the bottom. Gary St. Amant just a little bit wider angle getting in the corner, but it's working for that number 7 as he closes in on Sauter. The Sauter has been flawless all day long.
You know, when you think back to St. Augustine when he had the pole the first time, Buddy Baker, for 120 laps, he was flawless on the racetrack as well. And later in the race, he was brilliant, but he was coming back from 17th place to 4th.
Well, I heard one of the veterans this morning tell me it will be 25 laps of goodbye Sauter. He'll be going to the rear. They're still chasing this kid, and I tell you what, he looks good. One of the reasons that he's doing as well as he is he has the same tire man that Dick Trickle had for so many victories up here. Vets get lost, and I tell you what, it's paying off right now.
40 laps to go. Sauter stays on the point, but Gary St. Amant is right there. Then it's about 8 or 10 car lengths back to the next few. Garvey, Sawinski, Cope, Miller, Sealski, and so on down the list, filling out the top 10. But this is the fight. Maybe that's not the fight for the win, but it is for the lead at the moment. And the rest of them, there you see Garvey and Sawinski spread out a little further than they were earlier on, and about the same distance behind the front 2. A couple of cars off speed in turn number 2. The 99 of Tim Schmidt regaining the pavement and getting underway, and also the 01 of Jason Snyder.
Yeah, that's Jason Snyder's second spin today. He's back underway, and the car looks to be in great shape, but that's his second spin today. Right front corner's been in some.
And Schmidt has also had a couple of off-course excursions earlier in the afternoon. So the yellow comes out for the 13th time in the event. They slow them down behind the Camaro, the 1969 Indy pace car. Sauter's on the point. We're in Iowa. We're 34 laps from the end of the Iowa 300, still under the yellow flag as track cleanup continues. There is the race leader, Johnny Sauter, on the number 1 Tecumseh Texas Roadhouse Chevrolet. Well, we have our suspension cam, and something looks like it's gone awry there, buddy.
Yeah, you would see that right there. You would think that that was probably hooked to the frame right there, and it was blowing cool air on the brake itself. This is your coilover spring, and that's your shock inside right there. All very, very important parts, but you need that to be a little closer to the wheel to be effective, and I think it's just blowing in the breeze right now.
So he's going to lose some braking effectiveness?
Don't you worry about it. He ain't worried about brakes right now. He's in fine shape. Mike Garvey, who runs this racetrack, he told me he uses a little brake to settle the car, but he lets it roll through the corner, so he's not a heavy brake user.
Okay, now anybody that's got ideas about moving to the front, time's up. You got to go now. We're at 268 of 300 laps.
Yeah, I mean, right now the body man's getting into shape.
He showed up in 1975. He was here for
Johnny Sauter, number 9, is on the point. Joe Shear Jr. and Alex Pincinall. Those are the folks that are running him, and that's your tire man you're talking about.
Yeah. Talked about him just a little while ago. That gets off, and I tell you what, right now he's hoping everything goes the way it's been going because that car has been great all day long.
32 laps to go. The green flag is out there on the back straightaway. Sutter continues to lead. There's St. Amant and the rest of them. And the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars in the serial on the track are the top 6 in the race. They don't have any lap traffic to deal with. It's all just them.
And as it should be, but Gary St. Amant now is beginning to change his line on the racetrack. I noticed he's sliding the car just a little bit to get it to turn in center part of the corner. He has a good race car. He's able to stay low now.
He had told his crew that he had what he wanted for the stretch run. We'll see. With 31 to go now. Into the corner they go. St. Amant takes a higher line through the corner, and then Garvey takes a little bit higher line, and there is Matt Sealski, who was running in the 7th position. This young man who has yet to record a top 10 this year, having a career day.
And went down to Montgomery Speedway last week and tested, and he said the racetrack is very similar to this racetrack and is paying off for him. He's having a great run today.
How much does that do for somebody's confidence? You know, you struggle. Even though you're not going to win, he's probably not going to win today, but you're up there. You can see the leaders.
But he is winning right now. Believe you me, to be where he's at in an ASA short track race, he's doing a great job. This will boost his confidence and look for him to be a factor the rest of the year because the team is pumped up. He's pumped up. It always helps.
That's the battle for third. It is Garvey and Sawinski, the teammates. Pair of Chevrolets, matched Chevrolets, to come see on Garvey's car. Texas Roadhouse on the Sawinski car. There are several car lengths behind the front, too. This is their kind of private battle. There are the front two. There you see the space, and there's Mike Culp. He's dropped off from that third place fight a little bit. In fact, he's got his hands full with Butch Miller. Mr. Miller, number 52, just behind. So there's a battle.
We have a yellow again, and a wheel bouncing on the outside of the racetrack. It's right up against the turn 4 wall there, and it's Sealski. He's lost the right front wheel off that car. You see it bouncing down through there.
So it's loose on the straightaway and making its way toward the pits and actually away. And there's a look at Sealski. He's gotten to the pit, and his crew is on hand to try and lift it up and get a new tire on that and get him back out there. We just talked about a top 10 run for this youngster, and this goes wrong, and he has to come back into the pits. So the top 10 is probably going to go away, but it's still...
Nevertheless, it's been a great victory for them as far as coming out and competing against the world's best short track drivers and being competitive.
Because he drove the car. He didn't do that.
You're exactly right.
So they're, well, they kind of stepping away. It looks like they might have given it up. Perhaps too much damage down underneath. Let's go to Sandy.
You can look. He's in the cockpit there. He's got his head hung low. This is a frustrating time. The ASA official is over. They're on the right side of the car. Let me walk around here and see if I can give you more any indication of what's... Yep, they just got to change it. They're just stuck for now.
Well, I wonder about damage down underneath there, Buddy Baker, whether or not they can... Oh, yeah. So the wheel is stripped off, and there that is. It's been retrieved from the track. In fact, it rolled off the track by itself, and they went over and got it. It looks like the hub, the carrier, and everything else took some damage trying to get it back around in there. On the point still, Johnny Sauter, and he's now 24 laps away from home and capturing a victory in a season that's seen him run 4th. One time that was at St. Augustine when he had the pole then, but then since then, 37, 30, 17, the last 3. Let's go to Bob Dillon.
Well, guys, you talked about the guy that has helped Johnny Sauter so much. This is the guy, Vic Getzlaff, the tire guy for Johnny Sauter. As we go green here at Cedar Rapids, Vic, what do you think of Johnny? You've worked for a lot of different race car drivers and some good ones.
Well, Johnny's just starting out in his career, and he's going to be one great race car driver. And Dick Trickle already had talent when he started, and I had some good years with him, and I'm hoping to have a lot of good years with Johnny because he's got a lot of talent here. We're just trying to settle in and win this race if we can.
He's a very excitable driver. Can he keep his cool under pressure here?
It's going to be great.
Well, we've got Kevin Sawinski turned around out on the racetrack, so his day has gone awry all of a sudden, buddy.
Yeah, and what happened, the car's got all bottled up here. He was hitting the rear, and it turned him right around. You can see right now, unable to refire it right at the moment, and he is hot.
You can see the frustration on the face of Kevin Sawinski. who had such a great opportunity to pick up his first victory since 1997. It had kind of evolved into a great opportunity for a podium finish, or at least a top 5, and now all of that's gone away, and you can see the frustration on Tracy down there in the pit as well. I don't think the engine's running from the way he's acting. It's just kind of sitting there.
Something's bad wrong because it will not refire. He's trying to get somebody to come over and push him off there. He's wanting the trucks to come down there and push him away. Apparently it won't re-crank.
Well, he's already off the lead lap, which puts him down into 13th position outside the top 10. Let's take a look at it. Here's the lead pack in the corner.
That's Sawinski right there. He gets hit by Mike Cope on the left rear corner. Locks the brakes up right there, slides to a stop. Lucky that nobody else got into him. The car refired right there and then stopped and would not refire. Tough break.
There's another look at it from a slightly different angle. Contact, there it is, right, the bump.
There. Yep.
And Cope got hit also by Butch Miller, and both of them swing up high. Sawinski down into the dirt. Here's an in-car look from Mike Garvey's. That's Garvey just in front. Sandy Hang, on the scene.
Right now, Tracy, just watch that replay yourself. I know you just saw that replay. What do you think? Frustrating. Well, the Texas Roadhouse.com it's been running pretty good today. We had a little bit of trouble after our pit stop. I'm not really too sure exactly what happened. You know,
it looked like you got a little help on that, at least from the replay.
Well, it's a racing incident. I'm sure nobody meant anything. I don't know. I didn't really see it. I'm not there. They run it together, you know. So, but we're disappointed because we're in Cedar Rapids. We got all of our Texas Roadhouse managing partners here, our president, owner, whole deal. But we'll try to get it back going and get back out there. So.
It is frustrating for her, especially when you remember back a few laps ago, they were running with Garvey so closely and Kevin ran him just cleanly, and then to have this happen is disappointing. Let's go over to Bob.
We're down here with Donna Miller. Donna, just a disappointing run coming to an end here.
Oh yeah, I didn't expect it. I didn't even see what happened. I couldn't see it.
What is Butch saying inside that car right now? He had a good one.
Well, right now he just can't see anything. He can't see over they're trying to take the hood off.
Well, Butch Miller bringing his Meyer Pontiac onto pit road right now. As you can see, the hood is still attached to the car. They are trying to rip that off. Chip Caputo, the crew chief, trying to rip that off right now. If they get that off there, these cars, the aerodynamics won't hurt them on the short track. Maybe Butch can get back out there and run really well, but that hood is still attached to that number 52 car.
Well, I can tell you he's going to have to come back in because that won't make it the whole race hanging off the front like that. Also, it's cut all the air off to the front of the car. Butch Miller was collected in that. Had nothing to do with the wreck whatsoever, but did have damage. Left front corner of that car is damaged also.
So Butch Miller, who went into the back of Cope, is still coping with that situation. Cope is on the track. Sawinski has been restarted, and Sauter still leads, and we have less than 20 laps to go. We'll be back. Welcome back to Cedar Rapids. The green flag is coming out. We've got 7.5 miles to go. 15 laps to go. Johnny Sauter, again, a good jump into the corner with Gary St. Amant chasing along with Garvey and Cope now up to 4th. Butch Miller's dropped to 7th after having to come in a couple of times and get the hood cleared away. And Kevin Sawinski took the worst of it. He's all the way back to 15th after being a contender all day for the win.
And you can see the tire marks of Gary St. Amant as he picked the throttle up there. The track, when you first go back, is green, so to speak, and you spin the rear tires just a little bit off the corner. But he has made a great charge back at the 9 car, and we watch right now, you see the 11 car, Mike Eddy, back in the fight with many laps down.
Mike Eddy is running with that serial, but he's listed in 23rd position after some mid-race difficulties. So the fact that he's with them is only by happenstance. He is not a contender for the win. He's out running for a few points, and he's attacking number 25 Cope at the moment, trying to pick up a lap on him.
And Mike Cope wanting to get to the bottom of the racetrack and no dealing.
Sauter, half a car length, right, the back of the car steps out a little bit in the middle of the corner. Gary St. Amant right there. St. Amant has been saying he's got the car to do it. Now's the time to do it.
Wait a second, there's a new sheriff in town. Look at that one car, Mike Garvey. They named the racetrack Garvey Downs. Well, he's there. He's in 3rd spot.
Who won last fall here? Mike Garvey. Who won last spring here? Mike Garvey. Who won in the fall of '99 here? Mike Mike Garvey, who's in third place right now and with a chance to win. Mike Garvey.
Yeah, but he's still got 2 rounds on the ladder to climb yet, and those are pretty great drivers in front of him up there. It's not a give-in, I'll tell you that.
Gary St. Amant's group watching. Johnny Sauter holding on, 10 to go, 5 miles. Less than 5 now as they go into turns 3 and 4. They got a lot of room before they come up on lap traffic. Better than a straightaway, a full corner.
You know, we might just have a couple of lap cars to come into play. They're just about 3/4 of a lap from getting into lap traffic again. And I tell you what, if they go into it, I wouldn't put my money on any one of the 3 cars because these guys really want to win badly.
They're in turn 1. The nearest lap traffic, Scott Hansen, is in the middle of the back straightaway. They might catch him with a lap or 2 to go. It's possible. But right now, it's a 3-way fight at the point. Mike Eddy has dropped back from the serial, and Cope in 4th place is about 10 car lengths back. That's Mike Garvey's crew standing by the Tecumseh Chevrolet. Gary St. Amant is in the sandwich between Garvey and Johnny Sauter. Sauter's people, Joe Shear Jr., the crew chief, Alec Pincinel is the owner. That is a left-hander chassis, by the way. The left-hander hasn't won this year.
I was going to say, you know, I know that, but I didn't know that.
Port City has been the chassis of choice, and it has won all the races thus far. A left-hander is now in the lead. Gary St. Amant's crew seem reasonably calm. How much they can do, they might as well enjoy it.
5 laps to go, boy. It's down to the man that wants it the most, and I can tell you right now that Sauter is not giving up anything. Gary St. Amant driving the wheels off that car, but not closing that much at the moment.
And there is his crew looking on. I mentioned crew chief Joe Shear Jr. done a nice job. He gave him a great race car, and the young man's known what to do with it. He's 22.
Yes,
a great future, one would think.
And they're closing in on some lap traffic like I was talking about a half a straightaway, and they'll be in lap traffic. And that could change everything. Gary St. Amant now looking to the outside, closes down to less than a car left behind.
And they've put a little bit of space on 3rd place, at least for the moment. Garvey off the pace. It's now a 2-car fight with 2 to go. The Tecumseh Chevrolet has lost some space. It's about 5 car lengths back. Scott Hansen with no front end to speak of on his car just ahead, but he pulls down. The driver's left on the straight out of the line, and the 2 main contenders get through. Coming around for the white flag. Sauter will see it first, then Gary St. Amant. Half a mile to go. They swing around traffic once again. Johnny Sauter Jr. is moving up on the back straightaway. He's looking to get through. Johnny Sauter into turn number 3.
How do you say B-I-C-T-O-R-Y? Here comes Sauter towards the flag.
There he is on the straightaway. He takes the checkered flag. 2 car lengths back. It is Gary St. Amant and then Mike Garvey. Cope will finish in 4th place. A great breakthrough afternoon for him. And number 22, David Stremme from South Bend, Indiana, who's getting a bit of a tryout in the Herzog Motorsports car, comes in the 4th position. There they are, waving at each other. The winner, Johnny Sauter Jr. This has been the Iowa 300 at Hawkeye Downs. We've got a lot more business to take care of.
The Iowa 300 is being brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires. Take control. And by Fram Filters. Pay a little more now or pay a lot later. Today was Johnny Sauter's 20th ASA start. He's got his first victory, and it was a perfect score. 205 points, Bob Dillner.
And we are getting doused here in victory lane. Johnny Sauter, his first career ASA win. You know, Johnny, it's been a frustrating season. You told me a couple weeks ago you were about to retire. You want to retire now?
No, not really. I mean, these guys work super hard. I got to thank Alec Pincinel, everybody at AP Performance Racing, all his companies, AP Plasman. We wouldn't be here without him. I just thank him for the opportunity.
And that was Gary St. Amant pouring water on Johnny Sauter's head. We talked about the frustration. Just incredible to finally pull into victory lane.
You know, we've been strong all year, and everybody knew we were for real. It was just a matter of time before we picked up our win. It's awesome. I just want to say hi to Dave Anspaugh back home. I hear he's doing pretty good, and just want to say hi to everybody back home and say hi to Susan.
Big congratulations for his first ASA victory, and a darn good kid, guys.
Indeed, 300 laps. He led 233 of them to record that victory, followed by Gary St. Amant, Garvey, Cope, Stremme, Mike Miller, up from 31st starting position into 6th, Buddy Baker. That's a remarkable day.
And the remarkable part, Dick Trickle helped him work on that car last week. That is something to talk about.
Disappointing day for Sawinski, who was right there until almost at the end and got knocked out of shape by Mr. Cope. Let's go back down to the pits. Sandy Hank.
Well, that buckled nose and a little bit of damage on the hood belongs to Gary St. Amant. You fought it every step. The beginning of the race, I don't know if you got a bad set of tires. You just weren't competitive, but your team didn't give up. You came back, and you at least got a podium finish here.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sandy, you know, probably the biggest thing is I wasn't running on the right part of the racetrack, and it took Butch Miller going by me up a little bit higher, getting in the corner. There was a couple other cars that I saw working really good, high getting in, and when I put this wins number 7 up a little bit higher getting in, she come to life, and I told him, I said, it's time to turn up the wick, and it was good that it lit a fire, you know, once it was time to turn up the wick.
And you did turn up the wick. In the very end, it looked like there was a possibility you might be able to catch Johnny, but in the end, did you have it?
Johnny had a great race car, you know, he did one heck of a job, and, you know, restarts, I felt like we had a better car on the restarts, and we was hoping to get by him, you know, there on a restart, but we couldn't do it. Got to thank AC-Delco, Lane Automotive, Sweet Manufacturing, Port City Race Cars, best race cars in the country. Got to say hi to Tracy and Jordan, love you. Be home tonight.
And that's your second place finisher, Gary St. Amant. Let's go to the third place finisher with Bob.
Well, Mike Garvey, his wife Lisa, and Austin down here in Victory Lane, but not the usual Victory Lane. Maybe no more Garvey down Speedway.
I don't know. We got another race yet this year. We were a little bit off. Like I said, this GM Vortec powered Tecumseh Chevy Monte Carlo, we were just that much off all day long, and that's what we were worried about. But middle of the race, car started getting pretty good, and at the end, I got real loose, and I guess we got some oil coming on the right rear tire. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but it didn't help. But Johnny was really strong today. Gary was strong. You know, we was all racing real tight there at the end, and we just pull the podium out. If we can't win, if we keep getting top threes, we'll be in good shape.
Another consistent finish. Austin, give your dad a high five. He did a great job today.
Congratulations to them all. Sauter, St. Amant, Garvey, the top 3, and the rest of them. That was a whale of an event.
How about the Sauter family? That's the 4th member of the Sauter family to win an ASA event.
That's amazing. Some of the action from earlier in the day as this Iowa 300 unfolded. Tracy Sawinski trying to move him on. Frazier's troubles earlier on. That's Mike Eddy's car. That belonged to the number 10 machine, Matt Sealski, who lost a tire while running in the top 10. There's Gary St. Amant going around the Tecumseh Chevrolet. There's perhaps the most telling and disappointing moment of the day, Sawinski spinning, and there is the most important moment of the day. Johnny Sauter taking the checkered flag for the first time in his career in his 20th event. That's it from Iowa. Thanks for joining us, everybody. So long.